Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our streams.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this evening by Matt Cascode and James DeSanti, here to review AEW All In London 2024. Gentlemen, hell of a show. I thought it was great. It felt really quick, which was nice. It was only about 4 hours, which I feel like is also short for an AEW pay-per-view, which I will take.
My favorite thing was yesterday, Matt saying, "Oh, we should be done potting by 5." I was like, my brother in Christ, the show will be lucky to be done by 5.
Which I think they had a hard out at 5.
They had to. Yeah.
This was something I was going to discuss when we got to the main event, but since we're on the topic, they should have let that celebration go much, much longer. And
Producer boy got screwed by a title.
You'll have to see it. While James recomposes himself, probably for the second time in the last hour, because I'm sure he was crying his eyes out about 15 minutes ago.
Every fluid that could come out of me came out of me.
Okay. Let's jump in really quickly with the pre-show for All In. There were some good matches. It was a couple of big multi-men tag matches. I think the more important one was Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, the Von Erichs, and Shibata teaming up against Cage, Agony, and the Kingdom. It ended the way you thought it was going to end. Good guys win. Kerry Von Erich jumps in the ring. Everybody does an Iron Claw. Hooray! We also had Willow, Nightingale, and Tomohiro Ishii face off against Kris, Statlander, and Stokely, Hathaway. The women did phenomenally. Stoke did exactly what he needed to do and made me laugh my ass off. And it ended up with Stokely being pinned by Ishii. And now Willow gets to choose the stipulation for I believe it's the CMLL Women's Championship match she's going to have with Statlander in the near future. I'm going to guess that's going to be on All Out. It should be, at least. And then...
Who knows? It's a CMLL title, so it might not be on an AEW pay-per-view. Real quick, I want Mark Sterling to take on Stokely Hathaway. I think they'd be the goofiest guys in full body suits wrestling each other. Please continue.
That... it's funny. I was going to say that screams Cole versus Waller to me, but both of those guys actually are pretty decent in the ring, so it would probably be a halfway decent comedy match. The pre-show then ended, at least outside of the entrances, what was for the opening bout, that ended with Saraya coming out with her entire family and Harley Cameron complaining that she was not on the card for AEW, for AEW All In, so she has hijacked the show, and that led to the return of one Jamie Hayter. We are all very happy here that Hayter is back. However, James, I know you were with me on this. Why in the ever-living hell did we do this on the pre-show? You could have done this at any point in the show. If you were not going to do it with Britt Baker and during her match against Mercedes Moné, and you were going to do it this way, I'm actually okay with it looking back on it, considering Saraya and the Outcasts were the one who injured her and put her on the shelf. But on the friggin' pre-show, man, what are we doing? I think Hayter returning was way too big for the pre-show.
I was talking with Matt about this before we went live. I am fine with it being Saraya. That is Jamie Hayter's way back in. I'm fine with that. Just as you said, the Outcasts are who took her out. And as Danny put it in our chat, Saraya is a notable name. So I'm fine with all of that. There is no reason this couldn't have been on the main show. It wasn't a match that Saraya had. They didn't have a match that was taking time from people that were already booked. This was a segment. This was a quick segment. you could have easily found time to put this on the show. And granted, we were talking about this before too. It did seem like they had a hard out of 5 o'clock. They needed to be done by a certain time. Sure. Again, you couldn't tell me there wasn't a spot that couldn't have been shortened a little bit. There wasn't something that could have been done.
Jericho, excuse me. Sorry about that.
Oh, I couldn't hear that. I think you said, "Hey, fuck you, Jericho."
Hi
I
guys.
didn't go that far, but
Pachu. I'm sorry. Pachu.
but
Yeah.
my son is a sneeze.
Good one.
So yeah, I'm very happy Jamie Hayter is back. She definitely started, like, considering they were the last thing before the main show started. Granted, they had the tag entrances for the ladder match on the pre-show, but considering they were the last event before the show really started, they got the crowd up hype. The crowd was all over it. So you know what? If that's the blessing, she was able to get the show started the right way. I'll take it for what it is. But again, I wish things could have played out a little bit differently.
I agree. And Matt, I thought Hayter also looked phenomenal, and we are very happy she's back. She looks to be in great shape. She lightened her hair too, which I liked it. But I'm sure you're just as happy as us to see her return despite the positioning on the card.
I am very happy to see her back. I have a different position than you guys because I didn't watch the pre-show. I only found out Jamie Hayter came back when I was just like on the internet 2/3 of the way through All In. And I was like, what the fuck? The pre-show, at the very least, if they could not have fit her on the main card, they should have pulled the WWE and been like, hey guys, look what happened an hour ago. Because
that I agree with 100%. Yeah, that I agree with. There is no reason they didn't highlight package that.
Yeah, it was there. I think.
Strong agree.
Except the time limit, obviously. I think that was
No,
the only
but
reason,
again, a highlight clip of it.
Jericho.
15 seconds. That's all you need.
Yeah. No, I really do agree with him. It's almost inexcusable.
No, and I agree with both of you on that too. It's just the way they did it and the time they gave to everybody. It would have made it difficult. Granted, I do agree that they should have taken time from certain matches that they had, but they laid it out very specifically. And this thing did run like a Switch watch. It was very segmented. Everything was very on time. So the way they laid it out, I understand why we didn't get that, but they laid it out, I think, poorly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. All I can say on that note is hopefully they have big plans for her in the future besides this Saraya rivalry.
I think it's inevitable. I think they just need her to get her feet wet. I think they need her to stretch some muscles again because she's been gone for so long.
Yes.
And Saraya, admittedly, is a good opponent for that. She's not, she's not going to be putting on a technical classic or a banger of a match, but she's going to be able to help her, get going.
I'll say one more nice thing about Hayter. AEW's had some people that have it's like, oh wow, these people are getting over organically. It's going really well for them. The crowd is into them. And I think she's the person they're like, okay, let's just put the title on her and go with it. And I think she's the person they did it the most successfully with and they didn't drag it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. And we'll get more into the women's stuff in a bit, but I'm excited for her to be re-entered into the division.
Welcome back, Jamie Hayter.
There you go.
Agreed. I also want to do quickly note that Bryan Danielson had an interview with Renee Paquette also earlier in the pre-show, which was kind of cool to see her on AEW television. It was on YouTube, but still interesting to see. And I'm glad. I don't know if she's under contract with WWE or what her status is, but it was nice to see her on this show there supporting Bryan.
Neither of the Garcia twins are contracted by WWE in any capacity. And I'd go as far as to say they're not thrilled with WWE. And that's been going on for a while.
I can say I saw them do a show a few weeks back. I'm not sure if I showed this picture on the pod. But yeah, they had some. I wish I could. I was covering the show, and they had some really good stuff, juicy, headlining things to say. And like the guy like came over to me who was like running. He's like, yeah, if you could just not like share that clip and that clip. And it's like, yeah, I'm working it. I get it. But it's like, oh, I think they are open to working for other companies. I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
Interesting. A little inside knowledge there from our field reporter, Matt Guest.
Yeah, I wish I could share more, but again, I gave verbal, verbal consent that I wouldn't, and I want to, don't want to be burning any bridges. But
We honor our word here
Fair
at the
enough.
Mark It Down podcast.
It's called
Yes.
being a good reporter, Matt.
Hunter
would not ask
Iggy
you for more.
Hunter Iggy asking an interesting question. What percentage would we give on a Paige return to WWE? I've heard the rumors that she is still Saraya is in negotiations with AEW. They're both looking to extend the contract, but there hasn't been an agreement. Go ahead.
I was going to say extend the rumors I read was they're trying to extend it by 1 year at least.
Yeah, they're both looking for the year. I'll be honest, I don't know. Saraya is a very complicated person, and I understand we are all complex human beings who have made bad decisions in the past, and we should not be always judged by the decisions of others, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the PR is worth it for WWE when it comes to her.
Plus her medical,
Plus her medical issues, which they never cleared her. It was AEW who got her cleared. WWE never cleared her. So who's to say the WWE doctors will clear her now? I'd say 70-30, 70 AEW, 30 WWE.
I'll say 60-40, 60 AEW, 40 WWE.
I'm going to lean with James here. Maybe I'll go 75-25 AEW, at least within this contract or after this contract. On a long enough timeline, she does end up back there at some point.
Yeah,
but
especially now that other people are in charge.
Yeah, in the near future, though, I think she's probably going to stay with AEW.
I would say she's definitely getting a Hall of Fame induction, as long as she doesn't have any big faux pas.
She will.
From now until then. Well, we'll say. I like to think positively.
Her calling herself the unproblematic
that was
bastion of British wrestling during her promo, whatever she said, was
our
hilarious.
Queen of England.
Yes. Also, one last note on Hayter, just because I almost forgot.
Sure.
She didn't really get too physical, so I am curious to see how healthy she really is. But obviously, I don't think she has to have a match anytime soon. I guess we'll find out. Hello, Gato. We'll find out probably within the next couple of weeks whether or not she can really get in the ring or she's just going to mess around. Kind of Mercedes style, where she came in, didn't really do anything, and then had that match at a pay-per-view.
She'll probably have that interview beforehand, like Mercedes as well. She'll let us know if she's doing that.
Yeah, I guarantee you she is talking to Renee on Wednesday. I would put good money on that.
Bring the cat more to the podcast. I think that'll help. I'm not even a cat person.
But she's adorable.
She is.
Thank you.
She's quite fetching. Bye.
All right, let's as the cat leaves, let's get into the first match of the evening, which saw the Patriarchy face off against the House of Black, the Bang Bang Gang, and Pac and Blackpool Combat Club, being Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, which people were calling the Packpool Combat Club, which I think is a fantastic name. They were all going against each other for the AEW's World Trios Championship in a London ladder match. I think the first thing of note is that in London, the ladders are much shorter. So there was one specific United States ladder that was much taller than all the other ones. I think something got lost in the conversion to metric, and that's what happened, but I'm not really sure. I'm going to jump to the end of the match here, as throughout the match, Christian was attempting to have Killswitch allow him to be the one to pull the titles down, because Killswitch at a certain point in the match had a clear shot at the titles, but Christian, who had actually run out of the match at the beginning and then ran back in when the ring was clear, which was a great spot, he yelled at Killswitch for not letting him get the titles. So after Christian got taken out, Killswitch actually lifted Christian up on his shoulders and was forcing him up the ladder. But then that took so long that Pac was able to jump back into the ring. He took out both Christian and Killswitch, and then he himself climbed the ladder and claimed the Trios Championships. After the match, Christian blamed Killswitch and was yelling at him. Killswitch seemingly had enough of Christian's bullshit, and he threw his hands up and stormed off. We also had Brody King and Malachi Black come over to Pac, shake his hand, and raise his arms in the celebration. So, Matt, I enjoy this match. Love a good ladder match. You can't really complain. Nick Wayne had some great spots, I thought. He did a really good job. Quite a few table spots. He did a Canadian Destroyer off of the apron through a table. Just honestly, great stuff from everybody in this match. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't say it much better myself. Not only did he do the Canadian Destroyer, before that, he did a Wayne's World onto a table. I don't remember.
Right, that was the other one.
But yeah, he did both, and he definitely took the most out of that Wayne's World. So, like, bravo to him. I think everyone did really well. So I feel like it's not fair to even say Nick Wayne is the MVP. But you know, as my surrogate cosplay son, I have to support him. And I love him dearly and think he did a wonderful job, as did everybody else. And there was a lot of just great way to start the main show. I think really my only complaint is towards the ending. We don't have to get to that just yet. I want to hear what James has to say about like the middle of the match. And there was like some people just getting busted open here and there, like nothing like super dramatic, but especially with the face paint, you could almost not even tell.
Yeah.
With the
Claudio cracked the side of his head open. I saw some blood dripping off of there after the match.
Oh, did he? I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be careful. Those edges, those ladders, and their edges, they're sharp edges, James.
Those tables were rough too. They were
British tables as well.
Yeah.
Metro
Yeah,
tables.
they look weird.
Those were British tables. They had screws through the top of them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this was rough.
Very, very shiny, a much lighter wood.
Yeah. Juice took a hard bump on a table that did not break.
Yeah.
And
the table.
He hit it just like off center enough.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really Juice's fault. It's just like that's gravity and for you. And yeah, great way. I hope everybody got their tetanus shots in.
Right.
You know?
What Nick Wayne absolutely killing it. That tope into the Destroyer was phenomenal. Gotta say, your cosplay wife, not doing it for me. Her timing. I'm happy she's employed. I'm happy that she's able to find success in wrestling after the tragedy that befell her family. I'm happy for her in that regard. But her timing was a little off. Her believability is always a little off. But it was fine.
If I may defend her,
she's not a natural. She's not a natural.
Yeah.
But the fact she was able to walk down to the ring in those heels, let alone get up a couple of rungs of the ladder in those heels, I mean, I think she's doing okay. Maybe we need a bit of a change of wardrobe so if you're going to get involved in the match. But I think that was probably why her timing was so bad.
I don't think the heels were the problem, though. I will give her props. We've seen many manager have issues with heels. We've seen it with Karen Jarrett. We've seen it with Maurice in the past. And that's not knocking any of these ladies. It's just like the environment you're in is probably not best for heels.
Yeah.
Even though we do love heels and faces alike.
Not everyone can be Bryce Dallas Howard running through Jurassic World in those heels, okay?
Icon.
Most unrealistic part of the movie.
Yeah. But great stuff. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I de-mic'd something else.
Did not blow your mic out on the ear.
Right. I'm getting blue balled a little bit, and I can't talk about it too much because we got to talk about it later.
Like personally or in wrestling?
In wrestling, I'm hoping.
In this instance, we're talking about wrestling. Luchasaurus, Killswitch, whatever the fuck his name is, they've been dragging out this Christian stuff for far too long. That by the time I saw the issues with them afterwards, where he's like, I'm out of here, this is bullshit, I almost didn't really care. So it's been going on for far too long with no explanation.
Yeah.
Like Christian is... Okay.
I was going to agree with you. We'll talk about it later, but it did kind of kill an entire another match.
Yes.
So
Christian has been positively reinforcing Nick Wayne. He has been negatively reinforcing Killswitch. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. But whatever. I'm fine. Bang Bang Gang did well You know, I'd say the Guns were. I personally, Wayne was like the shining star, but I think the Guns were like the MVPs of the match. They were there through some highlights. They were there. They took some fun bumps. I love that they Guns up and then getting dropped, both of them. I thought that was great.
Get the tables.
Yeah, to get the tables. Got to give props to Wheeler Yuta. There were a couple of instances that I was watching that ladders were in bad positions, and Wheeler was consistently the guy moving the ladders out of the way. He was keeping everybody safe. On the swing, that was a big one. That was a big one. So props to Wheeler Yuta for being for having genuinely, I know it's a joke, but having such ring awareness and having such a mind for the match and the safety of everybody. Well done.
Great.
I have a weird nitpick, and I want to know what you guys think about it. It bothered me that the match was won when Pac pulled one belt off the loop.
So I think
it bother me.
Yeah, I think that was always going to be the case because I think if you do that, what then ends up happening is you allow yourself the ability to have 3 different members of 3 different teams.
And I'm waiting for. I have been waiting for it as long as I've been watching wrestling. I am waiting for the we just became tag champs together moment.
And I agree with you. That would be very funny, and it should happen at some point. I think WWE does this great where a lot of times they will put the belts onto one thing that is then hung, and you just have to unclip that. I think that's probably the better way to do it. But just because then you get all the titles at once and we can avoid that problem. But I do think it's a little more iconic ripping the title down itself.
Yes, I agree on that. But even in tag matches, I've seen both belts getting ripped down. And that's like, all right, that's the end. That's the winner.
Yeah.
It felt off to say, I pulled one, we win. Something about it just bothered me. But I admit I am nitpicking. The match was great. Go ahead.
I totally get what you're saying. Personally, it didn't bother me, but I did notice it. I'm like, I was just like, I wonder how everyone else feels about that. Because for me, it's fine. But I could see why that might bother somebody. What bothered me was the way the match ended. We had 2 spots where Christian is like, I'm going to get all the glory. And then Luchasaurus is just kind of standing there like an idiot while Pac climbs the other way around. It's like, Claudio should have just grabbed Lucha, like grabbed his leg and pulled him out from under the ring, and then just have it be Christian and Pac on the top. You know what I mean? Instead of Lucha kill switch, just looking like a big, dumb, goofy idiot standing here like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I've been talking about how much I'm not really enjoying the Luchasaurus Christian Cage dynamic. And I haven't for some time, especially because it just keeps feeling like stop, go.
Yeah.
But
I think it'll end because I think Christian should win the title. Oh, sorry, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
That's
spoilers.
I didn't spoil anything. I think he should win every single title in AEW, period.
He wants the Ultimo Dragon, like he's holding every belt for Christian, and you know what? I respect it.
Who wasn't WWE? It wasn't Al Snow. It was like, I win the title, and then what? And then I beat everybody.
It was Hardcore Holly. It was Hardcore Holly, which is just as laughable as Al Snow. But before we move on, I do just want to say hello. We have a lot of viewers with us today. Hopefully some new, fresh faces. Hopefully some old, returning faces. We obviously appreciate you guys being here. We hope you enjoyed All In the same way we did. If you are checking us out for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. You know, the more of you there are, the more we can do here at the pod and the more fun that we have together. And if you're watching us on any platform, watch us on all the platforms. If you're watching us with YouTube right now, you know this is home. This is our home base, and this is where we do most of our content. But check us out on the different social medias, on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, wherever. Matt's killing it on Instagram.
Picture, baby. Like, do we have that?
We're working on it. But thank you, everybody, for checking us out. And, let's keep on keeping on.
Yeah, and to refocus back onto this match really quick and get to the champions here. How do you guys feel about Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club? Because I do feel he kind of fits with them and their general vibe especially considering the fact that it looks like the Lucha Bros are on their way out the door, and Death Triangle's probably then going to be finito. So I think that being a former NXT guy, probably, you know, very close at Regal, I think him and Claudio had a battle or two.
Several for the Ring of Honor title too. For the Ring of Honor title too.
So they have a lot of history. I do think he does fit the vibe, James, of Blackpool Combat Club. And
Disagree.
Really, because I was going to say, considering the fact Moxley is currently on vacation, finally, Bryan is going to be a little more on his own, handling the AEW World Championship, and then probably eventually, you know, not be being a full timer. I do think Pac fits in with Claudio and Wheeler, but you disagree.
Oh no, he fits in. He fits in beautiful with Claudio, with Wheeler, even Bryan, and hopefully Mox. If you don't remember, Mox and Pac teamed up very early on in AEW history too.
So then, what were you disagreeing with me on?
I mean, he's from Newcastle. They should be the Newcastle Combat Club.
Oh,
I thank you. I was holding that. Like honestly, I thought I was gonna crack, but I did it.
okay.
I did it.
Well,
I win. I'm just as good as Bryan Danielson.
well
We
played.
both
Seth.
won today. But no, I'm all for it. I think Pac works well when he's got people around him because he is such a good promo. And when you have this I'm sorry, Eddie, but when you have this mad king like Pac, it's good to have an entourage around him in a sense. So I'm all for it. Especially, it does look like we are losing the Lucha Bros, which is a fucking bummer. But yep. But if he's gonna bounce somewhere, I'm cool with it being the Blackpool Combat Club. He's got a similar vibe to them, especially if they turn heel again, which I'm sure at some point they will. The angry, we're going to beat you down because I'm better than you vibe really does fit with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for it. And especially, like, I'm going to be honest, it sounds messed up, but it's true. It has no impact because it's the trios division. Like, it's so out of the way of everything else that's being done that it's not a big deal. More than anything, I'm proud Wheeler Yuta has won his first AEW gold. Claudio has won. Yeah, Claudio has won his first AEW gold.
Wow, you're right.
Yeah. And Pac is just adding to the AEW resume. He is now a 2-time trios champion. Yeah, with 2 different teams, and he is a former international, I guess, technically.
Technically, it was the All Atlantic at the time, same lineage.
International champion. So the more for him, the better. I think this is a guy who at one point in AEW's history should have been world champion, or at the very least had a very strong argument to be world champion. And even if that time might be past us, unfortunately, I still want him to be successful. So yeah, this works for me. This works for me. But I'm so sorry, Matt. The last thing I will say is I would like them to acknowledge if he is going to be part of the club or not.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be just I'm teaming with the club, but whatever. Like either be part of it or don't be part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been watching a lot of AEW regularly, so I don't know if they've even like acknowledged the fact that Claudio and Pac have had beef in the past.
I'll be right down. Thank you.
James, you are not muted.
Have they acknowledged, Nick? Have they acknowledged that they've had beef in the past, Pac and
Well, a lot of what happened with this trio coming together was on Collision, so I didn't really see it. But
yeah,
I imagine that I do believe Excalibur mentioned something or another that they have faced each other, and they've also teamed together before as well. So there's a lot of history between Pac and the BCC, and I do think it does make sense for them to end up teaming up.
I think they make a solid trio. I definitely did not think they were going to win. I was shocked. It almost feels like they won in spite of the Lucha Bros on the side of booking, not on characters. Like, hey, Lucha Bros, look what could have happened if you stayed. Even though I'm sure that wouldn't have actually happened, but you never know. They wanted to give the home country guy a win, so
yeah.
I hope it's a short title reign. That's my only thing. I kind of want a short title reign.
To bounce off of Matt real quick, I don't necessarily think it was in spite of anything. I think it's more they want to reset the division. Because things have been messy with the trios for a while, with the Patriarchy feuding. Well, initially it was the Bang Bang Gang were like unified champs, and then they weren't unified champs, and that was handled in the... I think the vacating of the belts was the dumbest thing. I still think it was handled so poorly. It was done very, very lazily. But then they feuded with the Patriarchy, who they were feuding with anyway. Then Blackpool Combat Club got involved, and all of that was kind of messy. So having a group that gets a lot of TV time, like the Blackpool Combat Club does, getting them to win the titles is a good way of, we're starting fresh. They haven't been involved in any of those feuds, really. So if any of those teams do want to go for the trios title, it's going to be not a repeat of anything. So you could do all of that again. And again, you're putting belts on people who already get TV time. So you're getting some shine on those belts anyway. Claudio's on AEW TV every week. Wheeler Yuta's back, and he's been getting a lot of use. Now they're definitely going to put Pac on TV more. So...
Do you think, personally, I think the answer is no, but do you think they'll freebird the trios titles with the Blackpool Comic Club, or do you think they should?
I mean, I don't think they will, and even if they wanted to, I could, like, the only other two members are Moxley and Bryan. Mox has been gone.
On vacation.
He's been gone for the last
Finally.
couple of months. I don't see him coming back to being part of a trios title reign that he wasn't even on the roster for when they won it. And unless they really want to add like some drama to Bryan's title reign where it's like Pac got hurt or Wheeler Yuta got hurt, Bryan is subbing in for the night, and that, puts him in a weak position for his title defense.
Well, I was going to say, I think the problem with that would be the reason that the titles were vacated a few months, or I guess it was about a month ago, by the Bang Bang Gang, was the fact that Jay White got hurt, and they wouldn't let them freebird it. So perhaps that's not something they can do because it's already established.
We already talked about it. Mama Wayne was the recognized trios champion.
No, she was. Excalibur said that it's technically kill switch. It's just Christian was just putting the belt.
They put her. They put her graphic on the website.
Did they really?
Champ, yeah.
Well, Christian is friends with the Young Bucks, who are the EVP, so they probably pulled a few strings.
Let's see. Hunter Iggy asking us a question. Did we answer the first question that he sent us? Hunter, we didn't yet because we haven't talked about the main event yet, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We will come back to it, though, I promise. Daniel Hernandez? I think
that's right.
Hernandez.
Yeah. No, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Twitter loves Saraya. I mean, somebody has to.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Daniel Hernandez. Hernandez? Jericho could have been a squash and had this on the show. I agree. I agree. It was more of the same, but we'll get there.
We'll get to the weakest match on the card.
Yeah.
Dev, what up, guys and everyone?
Hey, Dev.
How are you, Dev? Thank you for being here. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday. I sure am.
Yeah.
But let's get back to it.
Yep. To wrap things up on this trios ladder match, I do think, James, to your nitpick, the reason that they just had it so that you just pull one title down was to help give Pac his Wembley moment that he has been talking about for so many weeks. So
it's a bigger Wembley moment if you pull down all three.
That also works.
I thought you were going to say pull down his pants, and I'm like, you're not wrong. I'm not saying I want to see.
That would be a big moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we got Dev, my Yankees win and Judge hits 2 home runs. Boom, baby.
All right, let's go to the next match.
I have to deal with you people on a weekly basis.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah,
What do you mean, you people? Mets are up 1-0. Last I saw.
I'm happy for you.
Match number 2 in the death slot, as Jericho called it. In fact, I think we should have put Jericho, if he had to have a match in this pay-per-view, just for shits and giggles. He should have been the number 2 spot because he hates it so much. Number 2 match, we have the AEW Women's World Champion. Can we put me in black and white? Can we do that, producer boy?
No, producer boy's not here. Also, Matt, what are you doing? I host
He's
the
doing
show.
your bit. He's doing
I
your
just
shit.
want to do.
He's
I got
auditioning.
25 minutes left. I just wanted to.
Okay, we'll give me 2 seconds just because I want to say that the biggest pop of this the patriarchy match was when Juice was going to put Mama Wayne through a table. That's all I wanted to say. And then I was going to move on to the AEW Women's World Championship match, which, as Matt tried to
He's
say,
excited. He's excited. It's all in day. There's so much
Was-
energy.
You needed to get that in about Mama Wayne. Like,
Yes.
that was not important.
yes, Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May. First of all, shout out to my man Nigel McGuinness. Had himself a hell of a night, which we will talk a bit more about later. But he got a kiss from Mariah, and the entire sighted world went jealous. We also
Well,
saw
the
Mariah.
world,
Was it on the lips or on the cheek? Because it would
On
happen
the forehead.
So fast. It was on,
Yeah, it
the,
was on the
forehead.
forehead.
Okay, I saw her go over, but I missed like the actual smooch.
What was on the cheek was the absolute slap from hell that Mariah gave her mother, who was sitting ringside.
The only person cheering her in the entire arena, I guess, besides Nigel, and she slaps her in the face. She needed to make sure she wasn't going to get any support in Wembley.
I did love that Nigel and Shivani were both cheering for like Nigel was cheering for Mariah and Toni was cheering for Toni just because of how everything worked out. And Excalibur's just stuck in the middle of the mat.
She should have just yelled at her mother, been like, "This is only the second time you've seen me wrestle. You're a horrible mother." Otherwise, I'm just like, why is she slapping her mother just to make us all mad? Like,
Yeah, and it worked. It worked. I got heat for that. I was like, damn, that is awful.
It also served a very good purpose in the match where after Toni hit a Storm Zero onto the steps, everyone followed Toni as she went and cradled Mariah's mother, and Mariah was able to then, I assume, blade and open up a very big wound on her forehead, which
yeah, she did.
played in to the end of the match.
And
So
that's when
at-
Nigel got really mad. That's like he
Yeah.
didn't tell us storyline wise, but I'm sure personally he's just like,
My lady.
So towards the end of the match, we had the referee. I don't know if he went down or got distracted. I can't remember. I do apologize. But both women each hit a cunt punch, which is still the greatest word ever, phrase ever created. And you should definitely hear. Oh, what's my man who played Zod? Michael Shannon?
Zod, yeah, Michael Shannon.
Yeah. He does a read of like a sorority girl's like letter email to everybody, and he screams that phrase, and it's the greatest phrase ever uttered in human history.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
both women hit that, and then they both headbutt each other, and they both go down. Mariah then comes to first, and she attempts to go for the AEW Women's Championship, which was left in the corner. However, Luther, who had been drop kicked by Mariah into the barricade, is able to come to, and he just has a hand come up above the apron to grab the title and then flips Mariah off. Mariah then goes to the other corner and grabs the shoe that she brought down, which was Toni's heel that she had dug into to Toni's forehead when she turned on her, that was still covered in Toni's blood. But however, as she is crawling back in an attempt to hit Toni with it, Toni then stomps on her hand and takes the shoe from her. Toni looks like she's going to deck Mariah with it. However, she cannot bring herself to do it, so she throws the shoe away, and then Mariah is able to take advantage of her perceived weakness, I guess you can call it, and she lays in a knee strike on both the back of Toni's head and then to her face before hitting Toni's own move, the Storm Zero, to complete the All About Eve arc and win the AEW Women's Championship. She celebrates, leaves. We then have Toni. She was laying in the ring. She eventually gets up and is helped up by Luther. And the camera stayed on her as they allowed the crowd to give her flowers for a phenomenal title reign. So, Matt, I know you very much want to talk about this, considering the fact that you try to hijack my job. I love this match. I think this is absolutely the right call because Toni is now Mariah is now a made woman in this company. She has skyrocketed up the ranks from when she got signed to now being the AEW Women's Champion. This was a phenomenal match. I loved everything about it, except the fact that it was number 2 on the card, because what the fuck, Tony Khan? Why are you putting what was arguably the second hottest feud coming into this match? Maybe you could even try to argue the hottest, but you're going to be a little hard pressed to do it. Why are you putting this at number 2 on the card? I do not understand.
And yeah, I go back to, I agree 100% with that sentiment. It's very much the same situation that Chris Jericho found himself in a number of years ago at WrestleMania when he had to fight Kevin Owens for the U.S. title, and it was the second card in the match, despite being the hottest storyline. And Mariah May and Toni Storm definitely find themselves, in my opinion, in the same boat. I think the only reason Bryan Danielson's story might be a little bit hotter is because it's like
Bryan
career
Danielson.
and it's a career-threatening match. If it was just a world title match, the best, hottest storyline would have been 100% Mariah May and Toni Storm. So,
I saw people arguing this could have main evented almost any other pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think that's a very fair sentiment to say as well. Like, it's a shame that AEW hasn't had a all women's pay-per-view yet. I think that's something.
They're not ready for it.
I'm not saying they are. I'm saying I think that's something they should strive for. And if they were ready for it, this would 100% be the main event match. I think, honestly, I don't care. The thing about AEW fans, they're mostly there for the wrestling. They're not there for the sports entertainment or the mainstream appeal. And I don't know why Tony, in this instance, didn't book it like that, because I feel like if he booked it the way AEW books things, they would have put Mercedes Moné's match number 2, if anything. Because,
So, can I interject
Sure.
a little bit?
Please, because I think you and I are on the same page here.
No, actually, I don't know. I'm sorry. I think we're all you guys are closer, I think, on this than I am. I am of the belief that if you're not main eventing and you're not opening the show, it doesn't matter where you are on the card. I either want to be the main event or I want to be the first match of the show, because if I'm the first match of the show, I am setting the tone for the rest of the night, or I'm the main event because I am the thing that is going to send this crowd home hopefully happy. I don't think there is any scenario where Mariah and Toni were going to main event over Bryan and Swerve.
of course.
Yeah,
And that's fine. I have no issue with that. In fact, I think that's the right play. But if let's say you switched Mariah and Toni with Mercedes and Britt, that crowd was dead for that match.
yeah, no, I would not want them in that spot either.
I would not want them in
following
that-
MJF and Ospreay. Hell no.
I think they were dead because that Mercedes match wasn't any good, in my opinion.
I think the match wasn't that good. I completely give you that. But that match was kind of the rest stop after Ospreay and MJF, and after, what was the rest of the card? Like, at least the order of it?
Before or after?
Before.
Before. So it was
Tag
MJF Ospreay.
tag titles.
Above MJF Ospreay was the Casino Gauntlet match, and then above that was the tag titles. After MJF Ospreay was Mercedes and Britt, and then Jack Perry, Darby Allin, in the main event.
I would not have wanted the crowd to be tired out for Toni and Mariah coming off of what I think was one of the most fun matches of the night, which was the Gauntlet match. Yep. And then Ospreay versus MJF, which had, 1, so much heat to it, and 2, was also a very good match that the crowd was very engaged in. So, again, do I understand, wow, this kind of feels like the arbitrary, this is a disrespectful spot for them, second on the show? Sure. But the crowd was all fucking into it.
Yeah,
they were so over it. They had so much energy for this matchup that I'm fine with it. I'd rather that than them be tired later on.
It's fair point.
Okay, then put them, to your point, put them first. Then.
Yeah, no, I mean, all right, it's hard because a ladder match is a ladder match, but yes, I do.
Plus, they had the entrances that they couldn't even put in because they didn't have time for it. So
exactly, I think it's maybe unfortunate, but I think this played out as well for them as it was going to play out if you're not giving them the main event spot. Toni and Mariah had a fiery crowd. They had a lot of time because they weren't later in the card and they had to worry about someone else who might have gone over. They had so much time. They had so much investment. And I think it was good. I think it's good that they were where they were.
Okay. And I think whether we agree on whether it was a good spot or a bad spot, I think they definitely made the most of it.
Yes,
I 100% agree to that. I don't think they they suffered the way that Jericho and Owens did years ago.
Yes. Jericho and Owens was also a different situation where they went from being the Universal title match
Main event.
to the United
US.
States title match. And like there is very clearly a step down. It sucks, but that's what it was for them. Here, this was just where are you going to be on the card? And I think there is a difference. I get your point. But I do think there is a bit of a difference. And I think, like you said, Toni and Mariah did make the most of it. The match itself was a lot of fun. It played into a lot of the story beats. It played into a lot of their history. And Toni I think at this point it's fair to say, even off this one title reign, Toni is AEW's best women's champion.
She's a made woman, and I think what happened needed to happen. What I thought was exciting was I wasn't sure if they were going to do it or not. Like, is Mariah May going to win? Because Timeless Toni Storm is so popular, they might want to drag it out a little bit more. I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, likewise.
I hope they have a First Blood rematch. I know that's super out there, but it doesn't have to be right away. But I want to see a First Blood rematch.
I feel like in AEW that can end in 5 minutes, though.
Yeah.
But they definitely,
not,
I do think,
yeah.
But I do think that I want the feud to continue. I would like to, maybe not at All Out, but maybe at All Out too. But I want to see another match. I would like them to raise the stakes, add maybe some sort of gimmick or stipulation or something. Because James, this feud was very hot, and I know AEW really doesn't go multiple pay-per-views with feuds, but this is a blood feud that I think needs to continue.
I agree to a point. Here's the thing. Mariah's character has been so entwined and so entangled in everything Toni Storm. And this was the culmination of her rise. This was the culmination of her story getting to the women's title. And I think we got to acknowledge that AEW has meticulously, and you got to give a lot of credit to RJ City on this. You got to give a lot of credit to everyone involved. Her story from the moment she debuted to now winning the title has been so meticulously planned out. That first night, she's in the back getting interviewed by RJ City. Oh my God, I cannot wait to meet Toni Storm. She is my hero. She is my idol. And then over the next couple of weeks, she starts to. Then Toni doesn't give a shit about her at first. She's just, who's that blonde girl? And then it turns into something bigger to the point that Toni loves and cares for her. And then you have the betrayal, and now you have the title win. That is an epic story. And I would love to see it revisited. But I want to see Mariah in stories with other people now.
Mina was in the crowd. We saw
Mina was in the crowd. Yeah.
So maybe that's her first challenger. I'm with James. Want to see a rematch, but not right away.
Yeah.
Let Mariah May have this title run, and then we'll wonder, is Toni going to win the title back? Because typically when you get a big win like this, you're not immediately going to drop the title back in a rematch. It just doesn't usually happen.
Admittedly, I'm okay with Toni not winning the title again for a very long time because I love Toni.
But make us wonder if she's going to win it back or not.
I love Toni, but she is a 3-time women's champion. I think the only other person that would be Shida.
Yep.
Your girl. I think there are other people that would be great in this spot. I would love to see. We just saw it, Jamie Hayter. I think Jamie Hayter is going to take the title off Mariah. I don't know when. I don't think it's going to be like All Out or anything, but I think Jamie
Forbidden Door in Wembley next year.
I hope not. I hope they do it way before. I'd be fine if she loses the title at World's End.
It's not going to be that long. But
and then I want to see Deonna Purrazzo back in the title picture. I want to see Thunder Rosa back in the title picture. There are a lot of people I want to see in the title picture. And I think we're going to get some really, really, really good matchups with Mariah May as champion. So let's enjoy this for what it was and hope. My concern is more, what do they do with Toni now if they don't put her in the title scene, given AEW's pretty bad track record of treating former women's world champions like afterthoughts.
Yeah.
Whether you're Nyla Rose or Hikaru Shida or Riho or Thunder Rosa or whoever, you don't get a lot of love if you're not Britt Baker. So
it's a fair point.
Yeah.
Although they snuck Saraya into the card, so I guess he had a little bit if you're her.
I forgot Saraya was champion. That's how bad. Yeah. But you're right.
She won it literally last
year.
Yeah,
I know. You're right.
I really liked that match they had last year, the Fatal 4-Way.
It was good. It was good. But now we are all on the countdown. We're on the bonk countdown. Mariah has promised winning the Women's World Championship. She will have a live nude celebration.
Did she say that?
I don't know about the live part, but she said a nude one. And,
when you were saying that, I was thinking like Edge and Lito. That's what I thought you were going with. I'm like, with who though? With who?
I mean,
Nigel.
bonk.
Nigel would want it.
But yeah, so now I guess we have stuff to look forward to with this Mariah May title reign.
And I guess I hear you guys. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing her other feuds, but this feud with Toni runs so deep, and All In is so close. Maybe you could run it back before Toni disappears for a little while, but maybe not. I don't know.
We'll see though. It's obviously a possibility.
And I will say this: no matter what choice they make, I have faith in it because everything about this has worked out so well. So they have my faith.
In the regrettable RJ City, we trust. That's what Excalibur, every time he throws it to the desk, calls him the regrettable RJ City, which is amazing. But I do trust their booking for Mariah and Toni, and I do think at some point this has to be revisited.
Yes.
I'm clamoring for it just because I've enjoyed it so much, but if you guys think it needs a little bit more time to breathe, I'm okay with that too.
There's always options in wrestling, and there's always opinions in everything, so we don't always have to agree, but I like how we have a lot of possibilities here, and we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's the whole reason we have a podcast, so we can occasionally disagree and talk about it.
Yappa.
Stephen A. Smith made an entire career off of that. All right, let's move on.
We've to Skip Bayless, so
that's true. A lot of people. Shout out Wilbon and Kornheiser. Anyway, let us move on to the next match of the night, which saw the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho.
On that note, I have to go to the bathroom. I will be right back.
For the FTW Championship, which hilariously was probably a bathroom break for a lot of people. And I do feel bad, but Fozzy also performs, so that was probably,
I already forgot. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was probably a solid chance for people to go to the bathroom. I'll let James back in when he gets back.
For sure. And this will, I'm gonna say something like quickly, like keep going, but like I'm about to sign off myself because I have.
Yeah. We'll wait till James goes back, so I'm not even. So anyway, I will jump to the end of this match where Jericho attempted to hit Hook with a pool cue that he had introduced into the match while Big Bill was holding Hook up against the ropes. However, Hook was able to escape and duck that, and Jericho hit Bill, sending him through a table on the floor. Hook then locked in the Red Rum, but Brian Keith, who was also obviously there, jumped up on the apron, and Jericho was attempting to slowly drag Hook over to him. But at this point, Taz had seen enough, and my man finally got involved in an AEW match. He gets up from the announce desk, goes over, pulls Keith off of the apron, locks in a Taz mission, and that allows Hook to sink in the Red Rum even deeper and forcing Jericho to tap out, making Hook, I believe, now the 3-time FTW champion. This match happened. It was not
whether you wanted it to or not.
It was not that different, I think, than most other of Jericho's title defenses for this FTW championship. I have like the bit with Jericho where he has been bringing out a bag of different items that are relevant to the city he's in. He brought out hockey pucks in Canada. He brought out horseshoes, I believe, when they were at the Stampede in Calgary. He brought out cricket balls here tonight. So I have enjoyed that bit, but this match felt weird for a lot of reasons. Hook beat these guys 3-on-1 when he had been teaming with 2 other people, which would have made it a 3-on-3. Shibata, who had a match on the pre-show, did not show up. Joe obviously has been written off television for a while. So very interesting that neither of those people helped him.
I didn't know about Shibata because I didn't watch the pre-show. So that's or something.
Yeah, he teamed with Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erich.
Gotcha.
So, and they won, which is cool. But still, weird they didn't show up. Hook's the champ again. Cool, I guess. It's been a weird run here into the Jericho vortex once again, Matt.
Yeah, I think, look, Jericho's new character is entertaining. I will give him that. This group that he's in isn't terrible. It gives something for Big Bill and Brian Keith to do, and that's good. And I'm sure they're learning a lot of stuff from Jericho. He is very knowledgeable. That being said, like, we thought this was going to happen, like this third match was going to happen like at the last pay-per-view when it was Hook versus Shibata versus Jericho. So they just essentially extended the thing to another pay-per-view, and that was annoying. And I liked James's theory that Samoa Joe was going to win it, and then Hook was going to win it from Samoa Joe, which it didn't end up happening because Samoa Joe is on
he's filming
Twisted
Metal.
This match was blah. The performance I thought was terrible, and I like Fozzy. I've seen Fozzy live; they put on a good show. But this,
actually, they are fun live.
Yeah, it sounded terrible. I do have to go now, so I will see you guys later. I'm just going to close the browser so I don't mess anything up. So, bye, guys.
Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
Bye, guys. Bye.
We appreciate your time, although it was brief here on the show today. But, James, we were getting into the FTW Championship match.
Yes.
I was
listening.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
As I said, a weird possible end. I don't even know. It is the Jericho vortex. It's hard to escape it, but a weird seeming end to the feud between Jericho and Hook.
If this is the end, more than likely it is. Yeah, more than likely it is the end. But I do think, one second. Sorry, technical difficulties. I think if this is the end, it's a good way to end it because Hook stood on his own a little bit. He did have a little bit of help, which was my favorite part of the entire thing. It made the entire match worth it. Seeing Taz choking out Brian Keith was awesome. Yeah, look, I don't have much new to add here. We kind of went over all of it when we were discussing what to expect from the match on Wednesday. We spoke about the possibility of Hook being stuck in this. We talked about how if he does get the win, it doesn't mean it's over. And we talked about if he lost, what a weird way to end it. But look, I think it's good that he won. I think it's good that he won on such a big stage. He's now 2-0 at All In. He won last year against Jack Perry.
Yep. That got a little overshadowed, but he did get the dub.
A little bit. And Jericho is now 0-2 at All In. So we got to give Jericho credit, too. He is not afraid to lose on these grand stages, even if it is just an excuse to get Fozzy onto national pay-per-view.
So we can shit talk Metallica.
Son of a bitch. But, yeah. I don't have much to say about it. The bocce balls were fun. I think I heard you say it, and I agree. That
they
has
were
been
cricket balls.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking selfishly.
I know you're Italian.
Yeah, that's on me.
Love bocce as well, and
the cricket balls were a fun touch, as they have been throughout all of Jericho's FTW title reign. The different things that come out of the sack, but yeah, it was more of the same. Hook dropping people, them ganging up on him. Big Bill took a nasty table spot.
Yeah, good table spot, but nasty. And
got to also acknowledge Big Bill getting a lot of love overseas. I don't know if you saw what happened with him in Wales.
So I heard about it. I didn't actually see the clip, but I heard he was very over.
The crowd hijacked his match to cheer him. Even when he's telling them, fuck you. They're still just like, we still love you. It's like, good for Big Bill, I guess, for getting some love and some attention. But, yeah. I don't think we need to spend this much time on this.
Yeah, I just think the circumstances surrounding all of this with Joe and Shibata, I guess maybe it ended up this way because Joe ended up having to go film, but like you did all of that shit just for neither of them to show up during what appears to be the blow off of this match.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it is the Jericho feud. Who knows?
yeah. If this is the end, seemed like all that was a bit of a waste of time, and Hook didn't really learn anything because despite all of Joe's teachings, he just ran headfirst into Jericho anyway and got rewarded for it. So nothing happened.
Hunter Iggy asking, did Hook win or lose? Hunter
Hook
won, but it doesn't really feel like it.
Because it doesn't matter. We're just in the exact same spot we were at before, except now maybe Hook has a friend or two. That is the literal only difference.
Shibata had better things to do tonight.
Yeah, like hang out with the Von Erichs. And Joe is, went through a wall on a forklift.
Hanging out with Anthony Mackie.
Zagaki. So who knows what's going on. At least he gets to hang out with Captain America. Anyway, let's move past this mess to a bit of another mess, to be honest with you, which was the AEW World Tag Team Championship match that saw the Young Bucks face off against FTR and the Acclaimed. I will jump very quickly to the end of this. We saw Nicholas hit Dax with the title, and Matthew attempted to roll up, but Dax kicked out, and then the Bucks just followed that up with an EVP trigger, and Matt picked Dax for the win. This match was fine. Honestly, the best part about it was Daddy Ass hitting a famouser on Matthew onto the title, but look, I will say this. Whoever produces FTR's matches, going all the way back forever, they do a phenomenal job of having different partners, especially in these three-way tag matches, hit each other's finishers.
Yeah.
it's I don't know if it started with the DIY and Authors of Pain match, I think, in Toronto, and it has continued from there. It is by far the best part of the matches they do in this format. But I think Kastner hit an EVP trigger with Matthew, and then ended up helping a Shatter Machine onto Nicholas. Like it was a lot of great shit going there. But other than that, I've seen this match before. I guess you can say
in multiple forms we've seen this match before.
Exactly. I guess of note though was after the match, the Grizzled Young Vets made their debut in AEW. They came out to stare down the Young, but not their debut. Sorry, they were on Collision before, but they made their debut.
They made our eyes debut.
Yeah,
because we don't watch Collision.
Because Collision exists only for the sickos. They came face to face with the Bucks and were seemingly challenged for the titles. However, the Bucks bailed out, and instead of chasing them, they just beat up FTR, who was pretty much already down in the ring anyway. Because even though James was complaining that they did not chase them, everyone knows once you leave the ring, you are safe. So that was notable. But yeah, as we say, James, same song and dance here. It was a good match, but nothing new.
No, you mentioned what one of your highlights of the match was, which was Billy Gunn getting involved, hitting the Famouser, and we got that 2 count out of it. I was so glad that the Acclaim didn't win off of that.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think it would have been great if they went off.
Because if this would have been their second tag team title reign, and they won the first one because Billy got involved and hit a Famouser on Swerve.
Right.
I wouldn't want them to win another title needing help. And I love Daddy S. I love Billy Gunn. I love him, and he is such an integral part of that team. But sometimes I want to see the two guys prove that they can do it on their own. In this multi-man match, everything. First of all, I don't know why they needed to hide anything. It was a triple threat. There's no DQ.
So I missed the beginning of the match because I was probably tweeting. Was it 2 legal? It was only 2 legal men, or it was 3 legal men? Because if it's 3 legal men, it's no DQ. If it's 2 legal men, then there's
sure.
DQs.
I would have to recheck it, but
personally, I prefer the 3 legal men. I think it's way more fun.
I think everybody does. Everybody does. It doesn't make sense the other way.
With the 2 legal men, it gets very confusing, especially in AEW where the tag rules are much more lax. There's a 10-second count for tags instead of a 5-second count, which was something they really harped on at the beginning of AEW. So it allows for all of these chaotic situations, and it does allow for a bit more fun, but when you don't establish which one it is at the beginning, I don't think Excalibur mentioned which one it was or which style they were doing it, whether it was standard tag with 3 teams or a triple threat match, it then just becomes confusing. At that point, just make it a friggin' tornado. Like,
which I would never say no to. I love tornado tag matches.
Yeah, they're the best.
But the match itself, I feel bad because it was a well done match.
Yeah. I'm not shitting on it. It's
I
same old shit.
I wasn't invested in it. I need there to be new blood in the tag division very soon. I'm hoping with, we've seen some tag team departures. Again, we were talking about Lucha Bros again. We were hoping to see the Motor City Machine Guns debut in AEW, but it doesn't look like that's happening either. I hope they could find a team out there that they could sign and inject, or at the very least, start putting the titles on some of these teams that need the rub, like Private Party or Top Flight.
We both had good showings in the pre-show, I thought.
They did. I'd agree. I'd very much agree. So hopefully sooner than later, because I feel bad because I love the Bucks. I love FTR. I love the Acclaimed. It's just...
There's only 3 teams that are worth a damn.
Yep. What up? You know it. Yes, this is live.
It.
We are here on Sunday, August 25th, coming off of All In. AEW All In. What up? How you doing? You know it. Hope you're doing well on this fine Sunday.
Appreciate you joining us, as always.
But
the Grizzled Young Vets ain't doing it for you as a possible new tag team. I saw they're not officially signed. I think they've made the appearance and their AEW is attempting to sign them, but I do not think they're under contract yet.
My first real exposure to the Grizzled Young Vets was in TNA after they had left NXT. After they had left what they were doing, they had a quick excursion in TNA where they had a best of series with the ABC, and they were some baller matchups. And I think they're just what this division is going to need. I think we need more of this. And please, please, please keep it going. I said this in our chat before we went live. I was like, I think it's a little silly that they didn't go after the champions.
Because they left the ring, James.
No, they didn't. That's the thing. They got in the ring. They were standing behind them, had a stare down, and then they left. Easily, they could have attacked them from behind.
You think they should have jumped them?
I think if you're going to make a statement on a pay-per-view, you attack the champions. You don't attack the guys who lost.
But if you're vying for a contract, you attack the EVPs.
That is a very valid point, and I take back everything I said. But I also did say, as silly as I thought that was, I do think FTR versus the Grizzled Young Vets is going to be a better matchup. You have FTR has the throwback style of being an old school tag team. And that is literally what the Grizzled Young Vets are. That is their whole gimmick. So I think this is going to be a very fun matchup, a very fun feud. I hope it's not just something that happens at All Out and we're done.
Oh, I was going to say, if they can't get them under contract, at least give me that at All Out.
Yeah, at least. But I hope this goes further.
Agreed. Yeah, I would like them in the tag division. It would add a little more depth to obviously a bit of a floundering division as we discussed over the last couple of weeks. But if they're not going to say, just give it to me. And then, if they leave, they leave.
Yeah.
So be it.
Just quickly, I want to say again, thank you everybody for joining us so far here at the Market Down podcast as we're covering AEW All In London. You know the deal, guys. If you're a regular with us, thank you for stopping by, sticking with us. If you're new and you're just checking us out for the first time, welcome to the party. We cover everything here at Market Down. We don't just do AEW. We do all of wrestling, and we love all of wrestling. So it's all good vibes, baby. It's just good vibes. So please hit that like and subscribe. That way you can stick with us and enjoy the party no matter the night of the week, no matter the letters of the company. But let's keep going.
Yeah, and if you're not with us here on YouTube, which is, I think James mentioned earlier, is our usual primary form of communication, and you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, you can follow us there, and then you will be able to get all of our other links wherever you are at. I did want to hop into the comments really quick. Dev apparently hates the Young Bucks.
It's a popular feeling. You are not alone, Dev.
Yep.
Many people do. I will give the Bucks credit. They looked great decked out as the Beatles.
Yes. Also, producer boy, come on. You don't know Sergeant Pepper, man? Come on.
I'm just gonna say it. It's not much of a spoiler. We do see the Bucks later in the night. I do love that Nick shaved his mustache by the time we got back to them.
I didn't notice that because I already knew who was coming, so I started like typing the tweet out before before he got there. I didn't notice. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he shaved. Matt still has the mustache, but I actually think he looks really good with it.
Matt rocks the mustache on occasion anyway. So
he rocks great facial hair. Period.
Yeah, they both have good beards, but Matt's is a bit better because he has a very dark beard and it works. And it's very full and it works very well for him.
Yes.
Sergeant Pepper's one and only Lonely Hearts Bucks Band. Anyway, let's move on to the next match, which is officially my new favorite type of match, the Casino Gauntlet match. Dude, I know we discussed this the first time it happened, and I think again the second time it happened. You know, saying I was around when the Sergeant Pepper movie came out. I never actually seen. The Beatles movies are on my list of shit I need to watch, and I forgot that was one of them. But
Across the Universe makes me love the Beatles even more.
Hard Day's Night, I want to watch that one really bad. Anyway, this match style is awesome. It's like a mini Royal Rumble, and but with pinfalls, and it's great. I will just run through all the participants really quick. Orange Cassidy came out first. He had won that right, so he was out first. All black denim, black shirt. So maybe we're getting blood orange. We shall see. That was his first opponent was Kazuchika Okada.
Before we get to Okada, I love that every week when Orange comes out, we get the singular firework, the singular pyro.
The very lazy.
It looked so funny. It looked so good when they did the overhead shot of Wembley, and you just see the one pyro come out of the stadium. It looked amazing. It was I mean this wholeheartedly. It was one of my highlights of the night. Just seeing the one orange firework shoot off and just kind of fizz out. It was great.
Honestly, you can't do his character much better. But yes, as I was saying, Okada was the next man out, and we had a little bit of Okada and Orange facing off. They were former allies in Chaos. They even did the hug, and then Okada just deadpanned the camera and immediately started beating the hell out of him.
Because Orange isn't allowed to have friends right now.
Well, he's got the conglomeration, and we had a couple of those guys come in. But next was Nigel motherfucking McGuinness.
Oh my God! Yes.
Making his grand return to the ring. Do not do that because he does not like Bryan. But
he had too good a night. I don't care. You can deal with it.
Yeah, there's the one downside to his night. But Nigel made his grand return to the ring in Wembley Stadium. You couldn't ask for much more. He looked phenomenal. So, another cat. So between him getting kissed by Mariah and making his return to the ring and looking great, the man had a banner night. He was then followed by, as I mentioned, collaboration member Kyle O'Reilly. That was followed by G1 winner Zack Sabre Jr. I think I heard Excalibur say he won last night and then hopped a flight over.
No, it was a few days ago, within the week. Within the week.
Still, good on him.
Oh, still, yeah.
I'm going to say this a bit later about Ospreay, but I think, or something similar, but I think that Sabre just invents new ways to pin people just to see if he can do it.
Yep, and I agree. I'm calling this, by the way, next year, All In. No, I'm sorry. Forbidden Door London. If your main event isn't Will Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr., I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I'm sure you might have a great match made up in your head, Tony. No. Just do Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay.
I'm curious to see if they run Wembley again or they try something else. But
I think that's a great question, yeah.
Because they didn't say it was Wembley. They just said they were coming back to London.
By the way, can I bitch to you for a second?
Sure. Do I need to
We're
put
losing
up
Grand Slam next year.
Yes, we are.
This is bullshit.
Well, nobody bought fucking tickets, so bye.
Oh, God.
I'm sure we'll get another pay-per-view. But
we get nothing here.
We get Grand Slam when we hit World's End.
But not next year.
Well, yeah, we don't get Grand Slam next year. But look, does that suck? Yes. But I'm also guessing, A, we'll probably get another big show. And B, I'm kind of liking the fact that they're mixing things up a little And they're going to Australia, which is really cool. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi. I will say, impressive on AEW's part that it seems like they're going to be running a stadium show. They're aiming for like every quarter. Because they're going to be doing Forbidden Door in London. They're going to be doing Grand Slam, which is now going to be a pay-per-view in Australia in a stadium. And they're going to be doing All In Texas.
Yeah, at Jerry World. Oh, no, not Jerry World. It's at what was the ballpark at Arlington.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the new one.
So they might go for a fourth, but that is impressive if they could pull that off.
Yeah, that'd be great. Back to the match here. We then had Roderick Strong come out, followed by Mark Briscoe, then Hangman Adam Page, then Double J Jeff Jarrett, who got a huge pop, which was amazing.
He's earned it. He's been killing it this year.
He's been great. And low-key one of the best hires that Tony Khan has ever made.
Yep, absolutely.
Cannot believe I'm saying that in the year of Lord 2024. That was followed by the debuting Ricochet. If you're going to debut the Irish guy and you're only across the pond once a year, you might as well do it there. But very cool. Ricochet is officially all elite, so he will be sticking around. We then had one Christian Cage, Father of the Year, shake off his wounds and come out in an attempt to win this match. He immediately got destroyed by somebody. And then we get to the end of this match. Luchasaurus comes out. He's announced as Luchasaurus, not Killswitch. We think we have this big face turn after what happened in the opening match for the Trios Championship. He comes out, grabs Christian by the throat, and instead he throws him aside and grabs Kyle O'Reilly, who had previously been taken out. I think Christian might have hit him with a spear, and then some other shit happened to him. The dude was a mess. But Luchasaurus choke slams Kyle O'Reilly, picks up Christian, and literally drops his limp body onto Kyle, and Christian wins the Casino Gauntlet match, gets a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. James, this match was awesome.
Incredible.
The surprises were great. There was some great fucking wrestling in this match. It's probably too much to go over. Ricochet debuted, and then we get this absolute dud of an ending.
I'm so conflicted because historically, every time Christian Cage is in a position where we're like, really, Christian? He's been knocking it out of the park. From the moment he debuted in AEW, and everyone was just like, really, Christian?
It's Christian.
it's Christian, but he's been killing it. When he took on Kenny Omega for the world title, when he got announced as Swerve's #1 contender a couple of months back, he has just been doing consistently incredible work.
The TNT Championship match against Kenny as well was great.
Phenomenal.
That's AJ.
But we now know two challengers moving forward for the world champion, whoever he may be by the end of All In. And that's Christian Cage and Darby Allin.
James, it's the title. You could say it's Bryan.
I'm trying to keep some surprise for producer boy.
Some level of kayfabe.
Bryan Danielson now has two contenders for whenever. We have Darby Allin at Grand Slam, and we have Christian Cage whenever. So, is this a contender that I'm excited for Bryan to be facing? Not really. There is one reason to like this. Christian Cage is going to go in on Bryan for being a bad dad and not retiring.
Yep. Also, I think somebody had mentioned that Bryan's father has also passed away.
Yes,
unfortunately. So
yeah,
you get a real nice double whammy with that. But that's probably why they did this. It's just it's terrible timing, and it's just after all of that beautiful wrestling and the past two Casino Gauntlet matches, which ended with some great finishes. That's your ending?
I agree.
Really?
I completely agree with you. I said it earlier in the night. I am exhausted. Earlier in the night. It's 6:50. I am.
You're still exhausted,
right? I am exhausted by the Christian Cage kill switch / Luchasaurus dynamic. Why are we still here? Why are we still doing this? because all it does. What?
It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it?
Luchasaurus just looks like a jabroni. He looks like a jabroni. Like, you can go back to our group chat, man. When he walked out, yes, and then he chokeslams O'Reilly, no, and I just, it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer.
You could literally put that in the yes, no subreddit, and it would
Yes.
probably do pretty well.
And Christian and Bryan will have a good match. I need Luchasaurus to either commit to the bit, because I'm just getting sick of Christian abusing him and him just willfully sticking with him. They haven't given us a reason as to why he would.
Yeah, other than just like supposed Stockholm syndrome, but show us that.
Exactly. They're just making it seem like this is what I want, and I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
So I just don't like it. I'm also just going to say, there is sort of one bummer about this match and match type. It's hard. It's advertised as a 21-man match that could end at any point. It's hard to be like, man, it would have been like Evil Uno, who got obliterated by Hangman on Dynamite, didn't even show up in the match to get an ounce of revenge against Hangman.
Yeah.
And I get the whole thing is this could end at any point. It could end after the first two superstars.
Yeah.
I understand that. But if you're going to advertise 21 people, I wish that 21 people or close to it could be in the match. But I understand. I know I'm being an old bum about this. I'm being an old...
Time limits, apparently.
I get it. But, man, like, I was legitimately upset Evil Uno didn't have a spot.
I agree.
Again, we didn't know who else was in the match. But it is sort of the downfall of, we're advertising 21 superstars, but tonight it went to 12. Christian to everybody else, 12 people are in the match. Some weeks, sometimes it could be 2 people. That could happen eventually, where it ends in the first 2 people. And it's weird to like get excited or be upset about it. I don't know how to feel about it. So I don't know. We'll see. It hasn't been a real problem. I thought this match was great. The Will Ospreay reign of terror over these matches is over because he wasn't even in it.
I was going to say the only reason was because he wasn't in it.
But fun matchup, and I guess Christian is it. And let me also say we should talk about Ricochet.
Yes.
Ricochet looked great in his debut. As the kids say, his aura was strong. He's definitely feeling a lot more confident. It felt like, it looked like he was confident in this matchup. He was moving at a speed that was hard to track. It was just pure adrenaline out of him. And I joked in our group chat, I was like, this better be the best 2 minutes of his entire career. And it might not have been, but it was an impressive 2 minutes.
It was damn close.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they do something really important with him soon and he's not lost in the shuffle immediately. There's a part of me that thinks he should probably get a manager sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who that could be.
Don Callis.
Actually, that's what I was thinking of. I was like, how quickly do we turn him heel and just throw him to Don? Because they need bodies over there, man.
They need bodies, and we're all just counting the seconds until it's him versus Ospreay.
Exactly, which would line up pretty well once Fletcher inevitably defects. Yep. So that's a possibility. But I'm excited to see him. He was lost in the shuffle, maybe some could argue held down in WWE, and I'm excited to see what he can do once again with the WWE shackles off of him. So it could be interesting.
Answering some questions in the comments or just acknowledging some comments. Dev saying, how old is Jeff Jarrett? He is 57 years old.
Yes, he is.
Sorry, Rev, didn't mean to jump on you there.
It's okay.
But yeah, 57 years old, looks phenomenal in my opinion.
Yep. Man's in great shape.
Chris Leclerc. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Chris saying Christian Cage is on Bryan Danielson's list of people he wants to face. So
yeah, they never faced each other, did they? Like,
I'm sure. I feel like they've definitely had to have interacted at one point or another in WWE.
I guess I don't recall any of it, but
I feel like they had to have wrestled at some point, either on the same team or against each other. Dev talking about Bryan's father, that he passed away over 10 years ago after he won the WWE World Championship. We're actually like at the 10-year mark of Bryan winning the WWE Championship. So we're around 10 years of his father, unfortunately, having passed away. And you know it, saying some people are just meant to hold others' pockets. And I think he's referring to all the people that didn't make it into the matchup.
And some people are just there to put their hands in their pockets. Orange Cassidy.
Gotta love Orange Cassidy.
I also did want to jump up a little further back in the comments. Dev saying, unfortunately, this weekend was the anniversary that Bray Wyatt passed away. But it's also the anniversary of him finding us, which is great. So, Dev, we're thankful that you've been with us for a year. We appreciate you continuing to watch the show, and we hope you stick around for many more years.
Absolutely.
All right. Let us get back into the pay-per-view. Our next match was MJF versus Will Ospreay for the AEW American Championship. First of all, it was a corporate tie-in. I thought they just got the guy, but it was a corporate tie-in. But they got motherfucking Ezio Auditore de Firenze to do the voiceover for Will Ospreay's entrance.
That was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome.
Great. Also, I just like saying Ezio Auditore de Firenze. Anyway, I'll jump towards the end of the match. My man Bryce Remsburg, who is great and always refs MJF's matches. Fun fact. He took a bump because death taxes and Bryce Remsburg taking a bump in an MJF match and ended up getting knocked out of the ring. But while this was going on, Ospreay then attempted the Tiger Driver, finally just being fed up enough with MJF and hearing the crowd chanting for it. He attempted it, but because Remsburg was unconscious, MJF just hit him with a low blow. MJF then, instead of the Dynamite Diamond Ring, pulled what looked like some taped up brass knuckles. They didn't really say what it was, but it looked like.
I mean, you mentioned just now that he lost the Diamond Ring. Somebody stole it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, somebody apparently, I don't know if this is legit. I don't know if this is kayfabe. Somebody stole the Dynamite Diamond Ring. They went into his, I think it was in his locker room, and somebody stole it. He tweeted about it earlier today, and commentary acknowledged it.
Huh. I'm curious to see if that storyline could be interesting. Maybe
Could be Daniel Garcia.
Well, yeah. Great minds. Speaking of Danny, as MJF was going to hit Will with these taped up brass knuckles, he is stopped by somebody in a ski mask and who also apparently borrowed Orange Cassidy's jean jacket and pants, and then revealed themselves to be one Daniel Garcia returning from his neck injury. MJF gets very distracted by Daniel, and he is screaming at him, and this allows Will to recover and set up for a hidden blade, which he then just lays into MJF once MJF turns around. Ospreay then finally gets MJF and hits the Tiger Driver 91, and a recovered Remsburg comes into the ring, even though he's a little late on it, but he comes into the ring, and the move is devastating enough where MJF was kept down for the 3 count, and Ospreay wins back the AEW initially American Championship. However, he refuses that title from Remsburg, and Christopher Daniels comes into the ring with the rechristened AEW International Championship. James, this match was, again, great. I expected nothing less from these two men, and they absolutely delivered. I guess you could argue whether or not their first match was better. I think that's probably up to your personal opinion. But this match was great either way, through and through. I was also very much laughing at the fact that all of those streamers were just strewn around, not only around the ring, but in the ring and above the ring for the entire match. And then a little bit of the rest of the night, anytime they zoomed out, there was red, white, and blue streamers hanging above the ring because they got stuck in the lighting rig. But just great stuff from these two men. MJF sold that Tiger Driver like it was death.
Yep.
He didn't move until they cut the camera to go to the next match. He didn't move when Bryce Remsburg stepped over him to go hand Ospreay or go get the title. or whatever it was, but Brian first stepped on him, which is a great little thing that they did there. But I love this match. I think you could try to argue his match of the night. You probably lose, but top 3 at least.
I enjoyed I enjoyed it so much. I was, arguing with myself whether or not I liked their initial matchup more or this matchup more. I think they're great for 2 different reasons. The first one was a wrestling masterpiece, in my opinion. I thought they had an incredible match of the year candidate. This matchup was more of a story, I thought.
Yeah.
I
a little more sports entertainery too.
A little bit, yeah, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with either. It depends on preference, and sometimes they're both amazing depending on the context. The right guy won, and that's tough for MJF. But Ospreay needed the win. Do you disagree?
Oh no, I was gonna say he'll be fine. MJF. That was my
MJF
that was what was running through my head.
MJF will be fine. Ospreay needed the big win. Daniel Garcia, it seems, I guess this means that he's going to re-sign with AEW if he hasn't already, because the reports and the rumors were that he was he was being courted by WWE. So I guess this means he's sticking around just for a little bit longer, maybe. And I'm hoping so. I'd rather see him stay in AEW. But yeah, no, I'm struggling because it's hard for me to tell you what I loved about the match or what I liked about the match because it was just so consistent. I love the Garcia interference and Ospreay hitting. All right, that Tiger Driver does look fucking deadly, doesn't it?
It really does. It's funny because
really
it looks
does.
so dangerous, but if you really watch it closely, it's almost the same as any other shoulder ball. It can be wildly fucked up if you don't do it right.
Yeah, you need to touch it. Like
landing,
this is. Yeah, go ahead.
You're landing like any other shoulder bump. It's great how devastating that looks while still being relatively safe.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I know it's a little inside baseball, but
no, you're. Yeah, man. Both were great. Ospreay's entrance felt like that of a superstar. That felt like that of a champion, and he certainly lived up to it with his match. I think one of the big things too is, and it's never been a problem with his run in AEW, but it's something that if you've been watching him for as long as I have, back when he was in Ring of Honor, back when he was working indies, back when I guess even still transitioning to New Japan, how far he's developed as a wrestler, as his ring psychology, his storytelling in matches has grown so much and has advanced so much. So bravo to both guys. If this was another night, they would have probably been match of the night. But it just speaks to how stacked a card this was, in my opinion.
yeah. And like I said, I think it was top 3 along with the main event and the Storm Mariah match. I think those were my 3 favorites.
Yeah.
So, and the casino gauntlet was great,
It's
but
its
it's its own little thing there. Like I said, it's a mini Royal Rumble. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
In terms of like regular matches, for lack of a better phrase, this was I think top 3 for me. To go to your point about the ring psychology, I think you could look at one of the spots where Will attempted to hit the Oz cutter on the apron, and MJF he kind of avoided it / just fell over due to exhaustion, and then Ospreay then later was able to hit it on a different part of the apron. So it's small things like that. I think you can also very much see, the more I watch Will, especially now, you can see the obvious AJ Styles influence.
Yeah.
He does hit the phenomenal forearm, even though they won't call it that. He hit a standing sky twister.
I know.
I didn't even know that was fucking possible.
If anybody can, it would be him.
And this is what I was going to reference earlier, or that I referenced earlier. I think Will just is bored, and not bored, but I think he's just trying shit to see if he can do it. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him hit a standing sky twister, and he just did it, like in the middle of a match for fun.
If you're gonna try new shit, you do it on the biggest stage of them all, right? If you're gonna surprise people, you do it where you're really gonna get a surprise.
Yeah,
And that is Will Ospreay to a T.
he's unbelievable. He really is.
He's in that class of like Ray Phoenix, where it's just like, I don't really know how you're doing the things you're doing.
Yeah,
I don't physically understand how you're able to do the things that you're doing, and I certainly could never do that.
you just really upset me because now I'm realizing that I don't think they faced. Did Will face Ray in his AEW run? Because I kind of need that match.
I
Like,
don't think so.
Them now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they had faced off previously.
Before, yeah.
But this Will Ospreay is on a completely different level than he has been before. So, and you're right. He's grown so much as a wrestler. And this is something I think we've mentioned before on the podcast. You go back and look at that match where he faced off against Ricochet all those years ago. And it was a very divisive match. Some people loved it. Some people hated it.
They did wrestle.
In AEW?
Yes. Back in June.
I was just saying, I feel like they did. I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Yep.
But that match against Ricochet, some people loved it. Some people hated it because a lot of people thought it was very scripted. But the growth that Will has had as a wrestler since
undeniable.
then. Yeah. Even the growth he's had since he occasionally made a cameo appearance on Being the Elite in an airport or two. Like, he was a child, and you see him now as both a man inside and out of the ring. It has been a wonderful journey to watch, and both he and us as fans are reaping the benefits of how fucking good this guy is. And I'm absolutely loving and enjoying watching it. So shout out to him, and shout out to MJF. You can't have a good match without a good dance partner.
Oh, absolutely.
And MJF continues to prove himself time after time. I know producer boy in the chat here is saying that MJF should beat Bryan. No, he already did, so he doesn't need to do that.
I would love to see this title reign is going to be so weird because we know we're at the end, and we'll talk about it later. But yeah.
I don't think we need that. I mean, look, if Bryan gets his win back, maybe, but frankly,
even then,
I don't think I need it.
I agree. I
think it's better that MJF has the win over him straight.
As a Bryan fan, do I want to see it? Of course.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I don't think he should go for it.
Yeah, no, I think it does more for MJF to just be like, I'm undefeated against Bryan Danielson.
Exactly. Period.
I think it does a lot more for him. I will quickly, before we go to the next match, jump to Erichs' other comment saying production was ass all night. And I know, James, that this happened a couple of times throughout the show, especially I think in the main event. But I think it wasn't necessarily the production, but I think the direction in terms of cutting to certain camera angles, they did miss some stuff. So whoever was directing tonight, my apologies to you, but not your best night.
There were so many points, especially like you said in the main event, that they were so focused on getting a crowd shot.
Yeah.
That it's like I'm missing a pin attempt. I'm missing like a signature, or not if we didn't miss any finishers, but like we missed
a house. No, we missed a house call. I'm pretty sure in the main event.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not crazy. Yeah,
and a pin attempt following it up. So yeah. As Eric said, I mean, Eric's saying the shots weren't good. I think the shots were fine. I think it was the timing of said shots.
Yeah,
but I'm not a director. He is, so he would probably know a little more about cinematography than me. How was title not holding Bryan? We will discuss that later. I did not mean to click that. It popped up. But we will get to the rest of the stuff with Bryan in a bit. In the meantime, we move on to our next match, which saw Mercedes Moné face off against Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. for the TBS Championship. Mercedes came out in a carriage, carried by guys dressed as the dudes who guard Buckingham Palace. I forget their names, but the dudes, big fuzzy hats and the guns.
Isn't it just the Royal Guard?
I guess it's the Royal Guard. I'm not British, despite the fact I'm wearing a Chelsea jersey. Side note, in case JT is watching this, not a Chelsea fan. It's just the only EPL jersey I have. Anyway, there's also a bunch of corgis in the carriage, which is all we really cared about. There were dogs.
It is
Anyway,
the Royal Guard, or I guess maybe King's Guard.
yeah.
But I think it was just the Royal Guard.
Well, right. Yes, it is the King's Guard at the moment. It's probably the Queen's Guard for a while. And for a long while. Anyway, we'll jump towards the end of this match where Britt decided to go and pull herself in Eddie Kingston because Camille, who was holding both the TBS and New Japan Strong Women's Championships for Mercedes, Mercedes had attempted to use the TBS Championship, but the referee, she almost decked the referee with it. So I believe it was Paul Turner. He grabbed the title and was attempting to give it back to the timekeepers area. So Camille then attempted to use the title, but Britt was able to grab it away from her, and instead of hitting Camille with it, instead tossed it back to Camille and then fell on her back, and Paul Turner saw it and ejected Camille from ringside. And I did kind of like, and commentary mentioned it, that Britt was able to use Eddie's tactics against noted Eddie stan Mercedes Moné. This was followed up by Britt hitting a Panama Sunrise onto Mercedes and then a stomp, but Mercedes was able to kick out of that. Britt then went for a lockjaw, but Mercedes countered by biting Britt's hand before she could even get her hand into Mercedes' mouth. So then Mercedes then used that break to attempt a counter roll-up that Britt kicked out of. Britt attempted another lockjaw, but the two women ended up pretty much just back-to-back with their arms linked, and they used the leverage of that to stand up and get to their feet. There was a bit of hand fighting between the two of them, and the position they were in eventually allowed Mercedes to get Britt up onto her back and hit the Monet Maker for the win. James, I do think that while this was a solid match, a lot of people are probably a little disappointed in it. It was in a very difficult spot on the card, I think, as we mentioned earlier, following up MJF versus Will Ospreay, which was an absolute banger and had Will Ospreay in England. So the crowd, I think, was quiet for most of it. They started coming alive a bit at the end. I forget the move. It was some top rope move. I think Britt hit onto Mercedes. That got the crowd back into it a little bit. But I think this is a combination of where it was on the card, and I think Britt really isn't 100% up to speed yet. Not saying she's not 100% physically, just she hasn't had a lot of matches, and they had okay chemistry, but this wasn't something that like blew my pants off. And I think I've kind of felt that way about the entire feud for these two women, unfortunately.
I mean, we've been very honest, and I think we've been very fair that this was never going to be about the match quality with these two. And that's not a knock on Mercedes. Or
Britt, I think, for that matter. But Britt is not as good of a wrestler as Mercedes, but she can usually hold her own. Again, I do think she's just still getting back up to speed.
We like Britt. We care about Britt. We're rooting for Britt, but Britt has never been the worker.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which can be rough in a company of noted work rate.
And I think she's gotten a lot better. I think she's gotten so much better, but she's still not the worker of the company. You know, she's not going to be on that list.
That's what she is for.
Exactly. and Jamie. But I thought this was fine. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was awful. I think it was fine. Fine to okay. I wouldn't be shocked if they run it back sooner than later.
Hopefully with a proper build.
Yeah. I could see
suspensions.
This is one that I could see getting a rematch at All Out. I could see this getting a rematch at All Out before I could see Toni and Mariah getting a rematch at All Out.
Fair.
But we shall see. I don't know if they don't rematch it. I don't know where Britt goes from here. I don't see her going back for the women's title unless they want her to sort of feud with Hayter, who are like the idea is they're both going to go for the women's title, and we finally get that. But match was fine. I really, really, really hope they figure out who Camille is going to be moving forward because I'm rooting for her. And I thought this was handled like in a fun way. I thought getting rid of her was a fun spot. and Britt looked great in doing so. But I hope they figure out what they want Camille to be, and because I think she's got so much talent. So
yeah, I don't want her to get Wardlow.
Exactly, and that's the fear. That's always going to be the fear. But I am rooting for her, and Mercedes is just trudging along as champion. He just keeps trucking, and I don't know who could be next for her if not Britt. But the resume just keeps getting bigger. We know this match had the spot it did. This match was given the attention it did because Toni views Mercedes right now as sort of the face of his women's division, his moneymaker, his money maker.
Yeah, I was gonna say he views her as Monet.
And Britt has been his number one girl since he signed
literally
her
ever. Yes.
Yeah. So this was more about name versus name than anything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that's great. Here it was fine.
Yeah. And I do think, again, position on the card, lack of crowd support definitely hurt the match. And I think people, because of that, are going to probably view it less than it was. But I don't think we should try to combat that by overhyping it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was
absolutely
a perfectly fine, serviceable match.
Yes. I
just wish it was better.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if they do run it back, it will be better.
Yeah. And again, honestly, I almost wish it isn't at All Out because I want them to get a longer feud just because, again, they didn't have a proper build to this because of all the backstage stuff. Because I know Mercedes isn't the best promo, but Britt is a great one, or at least a very good one, depending on your opinion. And we saw that at the contract signing. Like, that was the most hype that feud has been. I think with a proper feud, we can get a much better crowd reaction out of the two women. Hopefully, Britt gets fully back up to speed and she gets some more matches on Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, whatever it is. So she is at 100%, ring work rate, and we can get a much better rematch. But for this match, it was what it was, and yeah, I don't really have much else on it. I do have a very kind of like weird hot take, though.
Go for it.
I don't want this. I never want to see it.
Okay.
But would Britt kind of low-key be better in WWE than AEW because she's a good promo and doesn't have the best work rate?
But even the work rate for the women in WWE has gotten a lot better. I think she'd be more of a natural there. I think she'd fit in more naturally, but I think that's also the wording I used is important. She'd fit in there. I don't think she would thrive there.
Right, because I agree. That's why I don't want her there. I think she'd get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she'd get lost in the shuffle. She'd be another really good name, but she wouldn't be the name the way she is here. And I also don't want that to be indicative of, I think she's a big fish in a small pond here. That's not that. I just think she is so different from the rest of the women's roster here that allows her to highlight herself differently and to make her feel important here.
Yeah. Which is kind of why I was very excited for the prospect of this matchup in the first place, where you had somebody who is probably the most WWE of the women versus, one of the four horsewomen of WWE. And it was seen very tantalizing. But I think just, again, the way everything played out with the feud and then the match itself didn't really, hit the way I wanted it to. Yeah. Hopefully they do get that rematch. It can change my opinion, but we shall see.
We shall see.
All right, moving on to our next match, we saw Scapegoat Jack Perry face off against Darby Allin for the TNT Championship in a coffin match. Of note, Darby Allin undefeated in coffin matches. Also, the motherfucker came out with a bunch of thumbtacks glued to his head because he is insane.
I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Glue to his head is not the worst. You can get rid of glue without much damage.
That's true. I saw somebody tweet out, I don't remember, you'll know exactly who I mean because you're a horror guy, but it's the guy with all the pins sticking out of his head.
Oh, Pinhead. Literally Pinhead.
Oh, it's literally just Pinhead?
Pinhead from Hellraiser, yeah.
Yes, I saw somebody tweet out a picture of Darby next to him. It seemed very apropos. Anyway, this was a surprisingly short match, so I can almost kind of cover a bunch of the big stuff very quickly because after Darby got his shit in, Jack just taped Darby's hands together and then eventually up on the ramp, took, I think it was his belt, and then belted Darby's feet together and then threw him through a couple of tables off the side of the ramp, put him in a body bag, tried to put him in the coffin. Darby wouldn't let it close, so Jack hit the running knee and then closed the coffin. And there's your match, more or less.
Right. I feel weird because, like, I know stuff happened, but it was so quick.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was a timing thing and they wanted to make sure that Swerve and Bryan got their proper time. And this, unfortunately, was the thing that got cut short. But
I'll put it to you this way. It wasn't even the shortest match of the night. Hook versus Jericho was shorter.
And we still wanted to cut time from it.
Exactly. But it had 10 minutes and 40 seconds of ring time, of match time. So not including entrances or anything.
If you told me it was 5 minutes, I wouldn't have fun.
That's how it felt, didn't it? I don't know. Maybe
we just expect so much crazy ass grandiose shit from Darby.
I think that's it.
We didn't really get anything of that ilk, so
I also think it speaks to the finish too, which I don't think was bad. I actually liked the finish. He didn't beat Darby. Like, he didn't keep Darby down, really. He tied him up, hands and feet, hit him in the head, and then closed the door on him. And granted, that's what coffin matches are. That is what casket matches are. It's about closing your opponent in a casket, and however you do it, you do it. But it didn't feel like a dominant win over Darby. It felt like I'm going to be the conniving little shit that I am out of Perry.
I mean, it works.
No, it absolutely. Again,
he
it's not a criticism.
Hit the knee. He did hit the knee, though, which is now seemingly his finish.
Again, he put him down, but it wasn't a dominant win. And I think it works for the Jack Perry character. I think it works for the scapegoat character to have him be this guy who's not really going to do the honorable thing. He's just going to do the thing that gets him the win. So I don't have any complaints about it, but I think it affected the overall matchup. He had the one big spot at the ramp where he threw Darby into the table from the ramp, like off the ramp. And then he just...
Darby taking that, his hands and feet bound together, he's a bad man. He really is. And I know he's a skateboarder, and I know he's always looking for ways to, like, hurt himself. But, like, geez, dude.
There was only one thing that would have made that worse, if his hands were tied behind his back. And they thankfully didn't do that.
I think he probably would have broke his arms because he went back first or everything.
But I also see him being the type to absolutely take that bump.
I also see Darby being able to easily, like, get his hands back through his feet.
Yeah.
Like a spy.
Yeah. He's a little guy.
He's probably, like, triple jointed, too. I wouldn't be surprised. He's a bad man. Look, I love Darby. But, yeah, this match is, for something that was a coffin match, which then, necessitates it being pretty much a hardcore match, just nothing, like, remarkable happened, which seems weird for a Darby Allin match. And I think that's probably what we're, harping on here. It's just, there was nothing of note outside of him being thrown through those tables. I didn't even realize I didn't even realize he was in the coffin until Jack hit the knee.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was either answering a text or tweeting or something, for the pod. And thank you, everybody who followed along with us tonight on Twitter. But, like, I looked up and I was like, oh, shit, he's in the coffin. And then Jack hits the knee and it's over. And I'm like, oh, shit, the match is over.
Yeah.
But thankfully I looked up because after the match, as James mentioned, the Young Bucks came down with a freshly shorn Nick Jackson. Excuse me. And they were carrying a can of gasoline. Obviously, Darby has both threatened to and physically lit Jack Perry on fire in previous matches. So the Bucks decided it was time for Jack to return the favor. So they came down, opened up the casket, and Darby, who was actually in a body bag, I did skip that part. Jack did put him in a body bag. They poured the gasoline all over Darby in the casket, and they were going to light it on fire. But we had an interruption because it's Sting! Because obvious Sting is obvious, but Sting makes his grand return to AEW, takes on the Elite 3-on-1. The Bucks and Perry tried to get him, didn't work. Perry hit Sting with a chair, didn't work. Sting just no-sold the hell out of it. So Perry decided that discretion was the better part of valor, and he just bailed out, leaving the Bucks on their own, and they both got hit with a simultaneous Scorpion death drop, and then Perry just didn't really know where to go. He was kind of stuck. So, but luckily for him, Sting ignored him and eventually helped Darby up out of the casket and the subsequent body bag, and I'm sure he reeks of gasoline now. But hey, Sting was back, and it was awesome. And honestly, it was the only notable part of this match, which, again, is unfortunate, but it's Sting, so who gives a shit?
I'm not complaining. I missed him. It was funny because my dad couldn't be with me for the entire pay-per-view. He got here for the last two matches. He got here for the main event, and he got here for Darby and Jack. And seeing Sting, it was just like, this feels right. You know? It just felt right for him, for this. And I got to pop out of the old man for Sting.
Shout out Papa G.
Oh, yeah.
One of the OGs.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I also do like the fact that they have mentioned it, but this is the first time we have officially established that Sting is going to be hanging around. While he is done in the ring, he will still be popping in and out.
Here and there.
Yeah, and not only keeping an eye on Darby, as Excalibur mentioned, but he will be dispensing Crow justice where need be.
I'd absolutely be fine with Sting being like an authority figure. I don't think he wants to do it because that would require him to like travel every week, but like I'd be absolutely fine with Sting being that authority figure, which would be just so full circle for his character.
I mean, we do kind of have Christopher Daniels kind of doing it. I wish they'd give him some teeth as an authority figure, but
I agree.
He is Tony Khan's mouthpiece at the moment. Which
a mouthpiece without teeth?
Get the man some dentures. But I do think it kind of works. I don't need Sting to be the authority figure, but I like him being this like protectorate. You know, when he has to, when shit really hits the fan, he comes in and fixes it.
Yeah.
You know, when like a grave miscarriage of justice will be happening. And I don't know if it happens to the Bucks again. I think it would be really cool. Like if they were really be able to reassert their authority over Tony Khan, and there was one big match of them. You lose your EVP ship if, say, and go. I'll riff. If, say, that James will be right back. He's Black Belt's going to die. But if, say, the Bucks are attempting to, there we go, retake over the company and their EVP ship's on the line and things look very dire, I would love to see Sting come back and then eventually be able to set things right, I think, that way. So that would be awesome. All right, as James goes to get his charger, let us move on to the main event of the evening, which saw Swerve Strickland face off against one Bryan Danielson in an AEW World Championship first career match. Obviously, there was much to do about this, and with James not being here, guys, I get to make fun of him for the fact that he probably cried throughout this entire match. I can almost guarantee it, and he's slowly coming back, and now he's going to yell at me for giving that up for him.
Oh, no. What?
Nothing.
What am I going to yell at you? No. You got to tell me. I'm in tights now.
Oh, you definitely cried throughout this entire main event.
Oh, dude, I was so emotional, and I don't even feel bad in saying it. Like, I legitimately, like, I've been thinking about it. Like Dev said in the comments earlier, Bryan won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 30 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a whole Ty Dillinger since then. Sorry. Sorry.
Wow. I was there for that. I was there for Bryan winning the WWE Championship. I was there when Bryan was in Ring of Honor in the OG days. I have been a part of this journey for such a long time. And I know we are very close to the end, but I'm not quite ready to say goodbye. And there were so many moments in the match where I thought maybe this is it. And I'm just happy. I'm just happy that this story has a couple more pages left.
Me too. And if it makes you feel any better, I was doing the yes chant in my living room by myself.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But let's dive into this match. Obviously, we will do the entrances first. Bryan came out to the final countdown. And as annoyed as I am at the band for charging $1 billion per second for using that, Tony Khan used his money very well tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
And there was nothing better spent than getting the final countdown. We also had Swerve come out with DJ Wu Kid on the 1s and 2s, and Bun B doing his verse for his theme, which was great.
Was that the guy we saw at House of Glory?
Bun B?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we saw Bun B. I think we might have saw the guy who was who does the other verse. The other guy came out. Dude, if Bun B was at House of Glory, I would have fucking known. Shout out UGK.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I also liked Swerve's ring jacket. It was really cool. If you didn't notice it on the back, he walked out backwards on purpose because he had the heads of all of the people he has beaten, I think, in his title reign. And maybe Samoa Joe. They were all on pikes.
That's pretty awesome. And
it was very like kingly themed. So whoever made that jacket, bravo to you. It was beautiful. I loved it. I also want to quickly point out that all right, actually no, my notes are a little wacky, but I will get to the end of this match here, and there's a lot that we will go over, but let me just go through the end. Bryan, after being hit with a big pressure, became the first person to kick out of said move in AEW, which they made a big deal of, and it was maybe the first person ever. I don't know if that was a move he used in NXT or
I don't know. Yeah,
but Excalibur said I think he said maybe he said AEW. I don't remember, but either way, still a big deal. And it was also after 4 house calls and a Swerve stomp. So this man was kicking out of everything, which I'm sure James will dive into. Swerve then started mocking the yes chant, and then we had Hangman Adam Page come out through the crowd and attempt to interfere. However, security was immediately on him, and he was never really able to get to the ring. The most he did was distract Swerve Strickland. This, however, allowed Bryan to hit a Busaiku knee, and Swerve was able to kick out of that. The two men then got into knuckle locks, and they were exchanging blows. And then Bryan was able to gain the advantage and hit another Busaiku knee out of pretty much nowhere before hitting a third one and going down into the label lock. Swerve attempted to fight out of it, and I think he flipped Bryan off because Bryan grabbed the oak finger, and I'm assuming it was that one. And Bryan snapped that finger basically in half, which Swerve sold, by the way, the entire time he was leaving. And then Bryan pretty much transitioned into the Rings of Saturn. And I know a lot of people online were saying it was still the label lock. That was the Rings of Saturn.
Yeah, essentially.
Whatever it was, it hurt enough to the point where Swerve Strickland was forced to tap out for the first time in AEW. And one Bryan Danielson is now your AEW World Champion. After the match, fellow team Blackpool Combat Club teammates Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta came out to celebrate, immediately running over to Bryan's family as Bree and their children were at ringside. Wheeler and Claudio grabbed the kids and immediately ran them over to the ring. And Bree eventually hopped the barricade, and the entire family was able to celebrate together in the ring. Eventually, Pac did make his way down as well, seemingly now allied with the Blackpool Combat Club. We also had Bryan's son chasing all the confetti around as Bryan was trying to get his attention.
Thing.
It was adorable.
Adorable. Adorable. You might lose a beautiful moment of him hugging his father, but it was a beautiful moment of a child being a child throughout this entire grandiose event, you know?
Just completely lost on him what's going around because confetti is shiny.
I adored that moment, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was so cute. And then I think, as we mentioned earlier, there was a strict 5 o'clock shut off here because I would have loved to see much more of the celebration a la WrestleMania 30, because that celebration seemingly went on forever. And I think Bryan would have deserved it here, but they did sign off rather quickly. Either way, this was a match full of emotion. I think the height of that was Bryan, who had was bloodied very early on in the match, by the way, which I kind of liked. We had an early ref bump, and it wasn't a huge one, but I do believe it was, again, referee Paul Turner got kicked in the head. And that distraction allowed Prince Nana to run over, grab the ring bell, bring it over to the apron, and Swerve hit a Death Valley driver onto the ring bell, and that busted Bryan open.
That was a nasty bump. He landed right on that bell.
Yeah, that was a good one. Bryan was then bloodied the rest of the match, and as Swerve is hitting all of those house calls and the Swerve stomp, Bryan refusing to go down, and at one point apologizing to his family. Initially, it seemed like he was apologizing for losing, and then, as Excalibur mentioned, apologizing for the fact that he is going to keep going. Yeah, and he powered up, shrugging off fake-ass yes kicks from Swerve, and eventually making that huge comeback that he did.
You know what? I love that spot. I love that spot because they weren't like it wasn't Miz kicks. They weren't bullshit kicks. Swerve was kicking him.
Yeah, I shouldn't say fake ass yes kicks. Like, he was obviously mocking Bryan, but he was laying them in there.
And Bryan, every kick is like, I love you. I love you.
Yep.
I love you to his kids and to Bree, and it was amazing. Amazing. Hold on, just want to say hi. Hi, Logan. How you doing?
What's going on, Logan? Welcome back.
You enjoyed the show today. I love you. And it was just so powerful. This, like, I was joking with my dad. He's hulking up. He's hulking up right now, and it was just awesome. And then he laid into Swerve with two of the hardest slaps I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He bitch slapped him, like, out of just, like, anger, and then he just fucking decked him. That was like very what do the five fingers say to the face, and then Charlie Murphy gets put in. No, it wasn't that. It was the counter when Charlie, instead of slapping him, just put his Rick's head into the bar. It was that. He hit him with the five fingers, and then he just bopped him off the bar top.
It was so well done. And there were so many moments, too, where we didn't even talk about, I think, Swerve's coolest moment of the match, where Bryan hits him with a Busaiku knee after, like, charging up. And it pushes Swerve. It pushes Swerve into the corner, and then he just walks back and then brushes it off the shoulder. And Bryan just looks utterly, not defeated, but utterly lost. He does not know what to do to put Swerve down.
And honestly, at that point, I got nervous. I was like, "Shit, he's gonna lose."
I had one realization. It was two moments, but it was a realization. It was Bryan had put about pretty early in the match. Bryan had put Swerve in a Regal stretch.
Oh yeah,
he put him in William Regal's submission, and I'm like, "Oh God, he's paying tribute to people. This is a sign of the end." And then he hit Swerve with a Regal plex, like that back suplex backdrop. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's laying it on thick right now. And then he's done such a good job of it. Every time Bryan has gone for the yeses in matches, he's lost. When he hit it on MJF, he lost. He did it in another big matchup, and he lost. And in my head, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, he's going for the yes chance. He's going to lose again because this is what we've seen. And Pavlov did not have anything on this dog. He got it. And it was just so beautifully done. Swerve
it's almost
playing,
like he was setting that up.
Brilliant bastard. Swerve playing the ultimate heel champion. The ultimate heel bully. Beating Bryan up.
He's a made man after this. I think he is one of the top heels in the industry. Not only after this match itself, but the title run in general. He was so masterful throughout this title run. He looked like $1 million in this match, despite the loss. You know, you couldn't beat this Daniel Bryan. It was never going to happen. But he still comes away looking great. He was so good at being the bad guy here. And I imagine it's going to lead into this Hangman feud whenever it comes back around. I'm curious to see who the heel is going to be. Maybe it's neither of them.
Yeah.
I think that this is just a blood feud where both men hate each other and they're willing to cross any line. Because we even saw, and this is something I didn't mention during the casino gauntlet match. Thank you.
Gauntlet, yeah.
Heyman put his hands on Karen Jarrett twice.
I will say this. And this might
So
not
there
be a
were
popular.
no lines in that feud, and I'm very excited for it.
This might not be a popular thing to say. That second time Karen got involved, it's free game.
Yeah, the first time he did it, and it was not of her own. Like, he just did it.
Yeah.
The second time she was trying to get involved, and then I think he got distracted by an entrance, and I believe it was Ricochet's.
Yeah, I think it was Ricochet too.
But either way, like, Heyman has always been far more noble than that. And
Yeah.
we're seeing this Heyman who is slowly starting to cross lines we never thought he would cross, for Swerve, who's already willing to cross any line because the amount of shit he was talking to Bree and Brian's children, he was doing Brian's stomps on the floor in front of them at a certain point of the match.
There was one point. I don't remember when it was. It might have been when Swerve was doing his thing in front of them, but I don't think it was. Swerve was beating down on Brian, and I saw Bree grab Buddy by the face, cover his eyes, and turned his head.
It was right before that, or it was within that sequence.
And I kept getting flashbacks to the Mick Foley Rock match, where Foley's kids are watching him just get destroyed in the I Quit match.
Yeah.
Hopefully, clearly this was less traumatic, as we saw Buddy going after all the confetti after the matchup. But, man.
Sorry, it got you in the comments, man.
That's
of course the woman hater would like that with
Karen
Jarrett.
I didn't say I liked it. I just said equal rights, equal fights. She was putting her hands on Hangman. At a certain point, he's got every right to defend himself.
Very quick side tangent. Speaking of men-women interactions, Statlander almost laid out Ishii in the pre-show, and it was crazy. Awesome. Great sell from that. It actually turned the match around really quickly for them. But back to the main event.
No, I adored this match from bell to bell. It started like a lot of Bryan matches do, which isn't a bad thing. It starts slow, where you see they're feeling each other out. Bryan's trying to be a technical wizard, and then it just not devolved, because that implies that it fell apart, but like it devolves into like this anything goes type of fight where Bryan is going to throw his body. He's going to throw those kicks. He's going to throw the knee. He's going to beat you down, drop you, try to stretch you in any way. And I thought it was great. I thought it was absolutely great. You talked about Swerve being a made man after this title run. It's funny to me that we saw two very transformative title runs this year in two different companies, where Swerve was a guy everybody was waiting to be champion. Like, we were calling for it. Like, it's Swerve's time. And then on the WWE side, we saw Damian Priest, where people had given up on Priest by the time he had won the title. People were kind of done with him. And then as you're watching both of these men be champions, you're seeing them evolve, and you're seeing them take their step up into a higher plane in the wrestling world, where I could imagine Swerve winning that title back at any point.
Yep.
Damian Priest is a main eventer in a way he wasn't before. So these title reigns did so much for these men, and for Swerve, somebody who people wanted to see succeed, he lived up to the hype. He lived up to the expectations, and in a lot of ways, he surpassed them. I think his title reign got better with each and every week and each and every month. And I am a little disappointed to see him go back to being such a dastardly heel, because it felt like he's so good at it, but it felt like there was character growth that sort of reverted just because the pressure was too big. And I think that in itself is a good story. But I like you, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen come All Out. One of my favorite things was my dad was just like, wow, that's really cool that Hangman came out to help Bryan. And I was like, Dad, he didn't come out to help Bryan. He
couldn't give a fuck less about Bryan.
Yeah, like he hates Swerve. So I thought that was great.
I also think that was very, very well handled because it was you who postulated that Hangman would be involved in the finish. And I understood the sentiment and I thought it could be a decent idea, but I didn't love it. And I thought that was a much better idea where Hangman came out, didn't actually get involved in any sort of way, only really created a distraction. And it led to a great false finish.
Yes. Bryan won on his own. Bryan put Swerve down. Hangman got involved, and that's going to lead to problems between the two again. But this was Bryan winning.
Yeah, because it had to happen. We all understood it had to happen. And you can maybe argue that Hangman coming out led to, a bit of a change in the tide there and allowed Bryan to help make his comeback. But Hangman not physically getting involved, I thought was beautifully played, well done by whoever booked/produced this match with that spot there. I thought it was a great move.
No, absolutely. Did you want to see Swerve tap or did you want to see Bryan pin?
I was good either way. Honestly, I guess my only complaint was I wanted catty mutilation or like
he did hit it.
Yeah. Actually, if I was going to say anything, I was like, I want Bryan to use something that he hasn't used in 20 years. Like some random thing he used to win with all the time.
I mean, you remember Bryan's old name, right?
Yeah, Daniel Bryan.
Bryan Danielson was ever so lovingly nicknamed or self-nicknamed Mr. Small Package.
You wanted to
have him win with a small package. That'd be fine with me. But no, I love the pin. I love the tap out win. Like it's funny because I'm watching with my dad while he's got him in the label lock, and my dad's like, he's gonna tap, and I'm like, nah, Swerve is just gonna pass out. They're just gonna have him pass out. But no, he tapped, and I thought that was epic. I thought it was epic.
And I guess in a way, I did kind of get what I wanted because he won with the Rings of Saturn.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been.
They're gonna say it was the label lock, and I'm like, oh, a modified label lock. It was a fucking Rings of Saturn.
Yeah, like, it was a label lock into a Rings of Saturn.
Yeah, because Swerve flipped him off and he broke his finger.
Yeah,
which I loved. So honestly, there's no flaws in this match. It was unbelievable. As you said, bell to bell. Yeah, no. The only note is they didn't let the celebration go long enough.
Yeah,
but
if I'm Bryan Danielson, I care more about wrestling the match than celebrating it afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. We got to see Bree in a AEW ring for the first time. The Blackpool Combat Club, the Packpool Combat Club.
I was low-key kind of hoping Mox showed up to help.
I was too. I'm disappointed. And I will say, I'm going to be annoyed if Bryan doesn't get a win over Moxley before it's over. He has put Moxley over at least 2 to 3 times since being in AEW. And I don't need Bryan to get a win over MJF. I don't need Bryan to get another win over a big upcoming star.
Keep them away from each other.
But Bryan Mox one last time, I would like Bryan to win.
Yeah. Erichs saying that maybe Mox comes back as a heel. But perhaps if Pac is stepping into the BCC, maybe Mox moves away from it.
I think Mox is going to have trouble with Christian because of how Christian was dealing with Renee. And now that he's got the number one contender, now he's got that gauntlet contract, he's going to get involved in BCC business anyway.
Yeah. So I can see that happening. Also, Mox also is probably going to have problems with Hangman because he's been a dick to Renee as well. So
exactly, more so with Hangman actually.
Yeah,
so,
he's almost been physical. Well, he's been slightly physical with her when he ripped the microphone out of her hand the other week.
Yeah. I do kind of agree that Mox is probably in need of some type of shift sooner than later.
A paradigm shift? You set yourself up for these things and then you get mad when I just, dunk the ball. Like, come on. Don't throw the alley if you don't want the oop, man.
Well, oopsie daisy. I wasn't expecting it, but well done.
Nice turn there. See? You can do it too.
Christian winning is weird because no way that's a pay-per-view main event, but it doesn't need to be because that contract is for whenever. He could cash in on Wednesday if he wants. He could cash like.
He also doesn't have to cash in on Bryan. Like, if they're doing it Money in the Bank style, it does not have to be on Bryan.
Yeah, it could be any champion. Like, Bryan could lose it to whoever, and then he could cash in on that person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no,
it'd be really funny if Christian was AEW World Champion. But then you could also set up for then the Christian Adam Copeland fucking World Championship feud if you wanted to.
No, I'm good.
I said if.
I love both men so much. I'm good. I
guess you could make the argument that it would be nice, similarly to the way people were making the argument about Bryan, having both Christian and Copeland's name on that lineage, perhaps. But I said you could make the argument. I didn't say you should.
Here's the thing. Bryan Danielson is likely going to retire in the next year or so, correct? Within the next 4 months, I'd say.
I say with by the end of the year, he will be done full time, and then we'll come back for big shows like All In. Stuff like that.
Bryan Danielson is 43. Adam Copeland, and he can still go. Like, we know he can still go. 43 is not that old. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are like 50.
Jeff Jarrett's 57. Put the title on him.
No.
I'm kidding. No, don't let that man get anywhere near a title, but he's still phenomenal.
AJ Styles phenomenal. But no, I don't need them to win the world title. I'm fine with Christian being a contender for it. I don't need him to win the world title. But between the two, I'd be more fine with Christian winning it than Copeland.
He's had a better run in AEW, I think, than Copeland.
I'd rather Copeland. One. But to be fair, that's not really fair. It's longer. To be fair, it's been longer, and Copeland got hurt.
That's true.
So we could forget because it's been so long at this point, or feels so long. Copeland got hurt as TNT champion.
Yeah.
So he won the TNT title and then relinquished it right then and there. So I'm fine with him going right back to the TNT title at some point.
Yeah, and that seems a good spot for him. I mean, you could also I think you could do it with Copeland, like any mid-card title. Doesn't necessarily have to be the TNT, although I think that would be his first shot coming back. But you could also throw him Continental, or if he wants to do, I don't think he'll be able to do this one, but if he wants to do a Continental Classic one year and maybe challenge for that title, you could throw him at the international title. Like, those are all good things. And then at some point, we will get the Edge and Christian run at the tag titles. So
God willing,
that's going to have to happen. Eric just blowing up your spot. Sorry, we both clicked that. Bryan to MJF to Edge. No, keep Bryan away from MJF.
Yeah, I don't want. Admittedly, he's arguing MJF wins again. But I just don't want that match again, and I don't think MJF should be world champion anytime soon.
Yeah, he just had it. So
yeah, I don't think he should be champion again for probably another year or so. There is a lot of rumor that apparently AEW really wants to put the world title on Darby sooner than later.
Yes, that was a big, big rumor. And
so I'm not saying I want to see that at Grand Slam, because I'm going to be devastated if I see Bryan lose at Grand Slam.
And that'd be very short. And I do think that we're all kind of assuming once Bryan loses the title, he will step away from full-time wrestling. So if he, it's August 25th. If he loses it, I think it's almost September 25th, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around there. That's not even a month, or it's about a month. So what are we doing?
Eric saying MJF is the biggest heel in the company, and that's probably true. Arguably, that's true. But
I nailed the date, by the way. It is the 25th.
Well done. But even if that's true, that doesn't mean he needs to be the champion. We just had a whole bit where we were talking how this title run elevated Swerve. So just because you're the biggest name on that section doesn't mean it's your turn to be champion.
And MJF does not need a title. Like, is he great with a title? Yes, absolutely. But the man is a big enough heel where he doesn't need it. Now, do I think he's going to need a half a second to recover from, the fake ass Apollo Creed bit? Yes. Also, I'm very disappointed he didn't come out to Living in America and do the whole Apollo Creed from Rocky IV thing. But And shout out to the people who saw me accidentally tweet Rocky 3. But like, I got confused. But he doesn't need the title to be great at what he does. The Punk feud, which you could argue is his best feud, had the title nowhere near it.
I agree.
So, he will find somebody to feud with, and that feud will be great. I'm not concerned about MJF. So I agree with you. Keep him away from Bryan. I don't think it's worth it. And mostly just because I don't think he should win the title back so quickly. And then, therefore, as we said, we don't really want Bryan to get his win back on MJF.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Eric saying, but also Darby's going to lose it pretty quickly if he were to beat Bryan. Maybe.
Why? Because he's got to go to Mount Everest.
In what would that be, like May? April, May?
I have no idea when you're allowed to climb. Dragoon!
Dragoon, this made my day. This made my day. Dragoon loves Danielson. Dragoon loves Mark It Down. And for some reason, he loves men in red shirts. I'm wearing a red shirt.
Oh, I would say I know I'm colorblind, but I don't think this is red.
It's like a maroon, but I'll take it. Thank you. I love you too. Eric saying, I'm just thinking main event for All In next year. You would need MJF unless someone huge is there. We already talked about it. The main event. Oh, All In. I was thinking Forbidden Door because London.
Yeah. Allin's in Dallas.
I think by next year you put yeah, he loves men in blue shirts too.
Thank you,
I think by next year you could have Ospreay in the main event of All In. I think he's done his time in the mid card that more than that obligatory, you don't just shove him in the main event time period. So it's going to be Ospreay.
Yeah, I would think so.
Who he wrestles at that point, give it time to heat up. Who knows? We're a year away. Maybe. I think that would be a good match. Let's see. It's Texas.
I'm actually randomly curious to see if Dustin Rhodes has a retirement match there.
I mean, they made such a goddamn big deal about this man's never held a Ring of Honor title in his life, and now he's holding 2. And it's like,
because he's never been in Ring of Honor until the last 3 weeks.
I've never won a Ring of Honor title before either. But if you,
which is shocking,
maybe
they never put John Cena guy over. It's bullshit.
Give it time. Playing the long game. Gonna buy the company from Toni and then make myself world champion.
That'd be funny. I did want to jump on something really quick from the pre-show that involved the main event, which Swerve Strickland officially signed an extension to his AEW contract. So I thought that was cool, and it went better with something we were talking about earlier. But I think it is a big deal. Swerve, as we said, he has become this made man now. Him sticking around, I think is on the level of guys like Hangman, like Moxley, like Ospreay. Obviously Ospreay shot himself up very quickly as well.
Yeah.
Like MJF, Bryan as well. I know, although he's on his way out. So Swerve is going to be a huge player in the years to come, and I'm very excited for it.
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, he's a guy that WWE shockingly didn't see anything in. Either Triple H or Vince.
I think it was Vince.
No, Triple H. I mean, Triple H didn't really do much with him in NXT either.
True, but I mean, I forget what the name of their crew was over there, but they had a pretty decent Hit Row. Yeah, and Hit Row was pretty cool, I thought. But once they went up to the main roster, like everything split up, and like they tried to become like whoever was running that part of the show dropped the ball very, very poorly.
Eric saying, I have more appearances than Dustin
in Ring of Honor.
That might actually be true.
I'd be willing to bet you do.
Yeah. Dragoon saying Swerve deserves the spotlight. Swerve was cool. Hit Row was never cool. I'm going to say something so shocking right now. I think AJ Francis is killing it right now in TNA. I think the former Top Dollar is killing it right now. And I think B-Fab, it's weird.
I was going to say, the B-Fab disrespect.
I think it's cool that she's with the Street Profits. But, like, man, we're just going to ignore Bianca Belair there, huh? But whatever.
I I do kind of like they keep them separate. Like, let Bianca do her own thing, especially because, well, the last I saw of the Street Profits, they were heels. So
I don't even know anymore because they're going for the tag titles now against the Bloodline.
Oh, and Bobby Lashley's gone because they were running with him, so that's out the fucking window too.
Future AEW star Bobby Lashley.
Yeah,
I was shocked. I was gonna put money. I was so fucking confident he was gonna debut tonight, but whatever. It is what it is. I will gladly take Bobby not showing up if that means Shane McMahon doesn't show up.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool with him not being. Again, we talked about this on Wednesday. It just wouldn't make any sense. You know, like, who's he gonna help? What was he gonna do? Rescue Darby instead of Sting? Like, it doesn't make sense anywhere for him. I like Shane, but not here.
So why don't we go over? We're pretty much done with the show.
Dragon was saying Shane beats Danielson. He is the best in the world.
Damn it! Damn it!
And Brian said he's the fucking best in the world. So he does have a higher distinction.
It's a distinction.
Yes, it's a higher distinction with that.
Give him the FTW title.
Yeah.
Let's just go over your top 3 biggest winners of the night, your top 3 biggest losers of the night.
I think the best way to do this is be by match. I think, in my opinion, because
it doesn't even need to be match. You could have been a loser, like, in terms of like the matchup. But
true. But I think like Swerve and Bryan and Ospreay and MJF and Toni and Mariah were all the biggest winners in their matches, just because those I think were the best 3 matches, and they had a lot behind them, and I think they all delivered to where they needed to deliver, and I think that makes those 3 sets of people the biggest winners. And then on the same note, I do think that unfortunately Mercedes and Britt, probably Jack and Darby, and then obviously Jericho and Hook, I think those probably fall towards the bottom of this show. And while I like all of those people, I just think the Hook Jericho match was just very confusing, and I didn't really know what to do with it in the first place. Britt and Mercedes, again, just there was never any real juice with that feud, and it showed in the match. Jack and Darby, weirdly, I thought there was a lot of juice in that feud, and just nothing happened in that match. So, which was weird. And honestly, I think I have to throw in the tag title match as well. Just, it was there, and I have nothing against 3 of those matches. The Hook Jericho match could have been on the pre-show, and we could have honestly flipped it with the Jamie Hayter segment, and it probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But those other 3 matches I mentioned, they weren't bad. I think they just, compared to the rest of the card, because the matches I didn't mention, the Casino Battle Royal match, the ladder match, those still hit, and especially for what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So with those 3 matches, the gravitas behind a few of them, I just thought they didn't really come out with what I needed, and I was a little disappointed in them.
I mean, that's more than fair.
You have some individuals, though. I think you have.
I definitely do. Like, I'm going to put on the winner side. Pac, big winner, finally got his Wembley moment.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to put Bryan Danielson, obviously, finally the 9th man to hold the AEW World Championship. So that's pretty awesome. On the winner's side, I'm probably going to put Jamie Hayter finally coming back after more than a year.
Yep. Terrible timing on the card, but
terrible timing on the card.
Love seeing her.
On the loser side of things, I'm going to put probably MJF. Just like last year, he was main eventing the show, and granted, he had a huge matchup this year. It didn't feel like it had the same, like, even though the feud was a top 3 feud going into the show, it just felt like there wasn't the same level of juice, and it was a little more divisive than last year's was.
I guess if you didn't like his American gimmick, and again, I think that was something we discussed on Wednesday, where it was made for England, so running it in America didn't really work.
Adding to the losers list, it sucks because he wasn't even there tonight, and he's catching a stray. Adam Cole.
Baby.
Guy is just being left behind right now due to this injury, and I feel so bad because he's somebody I like so much.
Yeah.
And the biggest loser of the night, and I think we're both on the same side that this person is a loser, Bryan Danielson. Birdie just, her dad just does not want to come home. And
You have been the living embodiment of the Michael Jordan "fuck them kids" meme since this has been announced. Not even this match, just since Brian has said Birdie wants me to come home. You have been that since then, and it is. I know James hates women has been the bit on the show, but no, you just hate Brian's kids. That is the true bit of the show.
That's not true. That's not true. I love Buddy. Buddy had so much fun in the ring tonight. He was chasing that confetti.
But you just hate Brian's daughter.
If she didn't want to take him from me, I would be fine.
Which I guess does play into the "you do hate women" thing. So we're full circle. All right, we're still good. We're okay, guys. We're okay. The bits will live.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Am I right? But I get your dad a little longer. But fun stuff. Great show. Great show. I stand by 100%. I think this All In blew last year's out of the water.
Yeah, and I think it's something you mentioned before we got on. It was a much more consistent show. Well, maybe not more consistent, but everything had much more of its own builds, whereas last year it was more focused around pretty much just two people in MJF and Adam Cole.
So you said it, this show flowed a lot quicker for you. It flowed a lot easier for you, and maybe, like you said, the time.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I got up, like I was able to just ease into it, and I wasn't dreading the fact that the show was going to end at 1:00 in the morning, and then we got to get on here for 2.5 hours.
Exactly. So if they want to do this next year, they're not going to, because they're going to be in friggin' Texas. But I'm down for these midday pay-per-views.
Yeah, honestly, they're pretty chill. If you're going to do them on a Sunday, like, yeah, give me a midday pay-per-view. I think it was great.
Absolutely.
I think we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. UFC did a British show recently, and it started on Vegas time, so it was like 3:00 in the morning local time in England by the time it ended.
Awful.
So the fact they did it local time, and then which ended up starting at 1:00 here, I thought that was perfect. That's 6:00 London time. It ran 4 hours, so it's 10:00 there by the time it ended. That's a pretty good night, and you get home early enough on a Sunday. And over here, it's now 8:10, and I think we're chilling. Yep. So this is great, Tony.
No complaints. No complaints.
Love a little. I love a little matinee pay-per-view. This is nice. Let's do more of these.
Meanwhile, we're both likely going to miss All Out in 2 weeks.
Oh, I am definitely going to miss All Out.
I think I'm missing All Out as well. So we're going to have to.
I'm following AEW's. I'm following AEW's bit here. I'm going across the pond as well, except I'm going Maryland. So
I'm going to the foreign land of Pennsylvania, and I don't think I'll be able to pod. So we're probably gonna have to call up the subs.
Matt.
We'll dust off Danny and Chad.
Maybe even Dragoon.
Yeah, maybe. No, Dragoon will be with me. He's not gonna be.
Oh, never mind. Oh, then you guys can just grab a couple of mics and watch pay-per-view and do it from the basement.
Fun.
I want to throw one more winner in, individual winner, and I know I mentioned him in the match, but Swerve, honest to God,
absolutely.
Swerve. Like I said when we were recapping the match, came out looking like $1 million. Guy probably just made $1 million when he signed his extension, or probably a few more than $1 million. But I really think he has officially cemented himself as one of the biggest players in AEW.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I do not see him ever falling down the card. So shouts to him. Yeah, he had a great title reign. He had a great match with Bryan. And to the point where there were points where I was like, I think he's going to win, and I'd be okay with him being the guy retiring Bryan.
Yeah.
And like he genuinely because that was something I think we all had to come to grips with, because this build really, really felt like he was going to retire.
Oh yeah,
they broke out time of Your Life by Green Day. They were really pushing the fact he was going to go. So we all had to come to grips with that, and I was honestly okay with it. So
I wasn't, and I won't be when it happens.
you won't be
But-
okay with anybody who's going to do it, but
Yeah.
just because you love Bryan so much. But
Yeah.
and I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't love him as much as you do, just because you have a longer emotional connection with him. But I do love Bryan, and do not want to see him go. But I was like, okay, if it's going to be somebody, I think I'm okay with it being Swerve. And Swerve just proved that to me tonight, where I would have been okay with it had it happened.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge compliment to him.
You know it, saying that finger injury is worrisome. Now, granted, I don't know if something got said after the show and things are legit. Somebody got hurt.
There was the press conference. Obviously, we've been live, so we haven't been able to pop into it. But I know Swerve was selling Bryan snapping his finger, but maybe something actually did happen. We shall see.
We shall talk about that. But guys, that was all in. And I love the show. I love the show. I'm so happy that Bryan Danielson is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. It could end tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. Bryan Danielson is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
His name was on the title, and all that. That's all that really counts.
And we talked about that. I think it was more important for AEW to have Bryan as their champion than it was for Bryan to be AEW World Champion.
Yeah.
So he could lose it tomorrow. His name is on the lineage. Bryan Danielson joins Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, CM Punk, Moxley, MJF, Samoa Joe, and Swerve Strickland. Did I miss anybody? Yeah,
I don't know how many you
He's
had.
the ninth. That was 8. He's the ninth.
Yeah, there was the weird thing with Moxley and Punk in the middle.
Yeah, they
That's why I got
really
confused.
messed it up for us. But
that was Rocky 3. That was supposed to be.
oh god,
Has he not seen Rocky 3?
wait. So MJF brought us to Rocky 4 today. That means we're approaching Rocky 5.
Oh god, just keep anything away from the guns. Then it was a deep cut.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to be happy here at the Mark It Down podcast. But
Yeah, no, this is a celebration of Bryan Danielson's career. Even though it's not over and we're still getting some more out of it, we are very much looking forward to this title run. Yes.
I got one last winner for the night.
Okay. Us.
And you're going to agree 100%.
Besides us.
Besides us, Nigel McGuinness.
Yes, Nigel. Honestly, everybody in that casino gauntlet match, because it was awesome, but I think Nigel in particular, yes.
Nigel got to wrestle for the first time in years. He looked great. He got a kiss from Mariah May.
But the highlight of his night.
Highlight of his life, really. But great showing. Only, nothing is perfect, so obviously he's got to be upset that Bryan won the World Championship. But I'm happy. Great night for Nigel McGuinness, who's worked really hard to get back to this point. So really happy for him.
And it opens the door for Bryan versus Nigel.
I will absolutely take it. I don't give a shit. If they want to do it at All Out, because it's only a 2-week build, fuck it. Do it. I will do it. I will watch it happily.
Nigel hasn't taken real bumps in a while. I know he's been he was on CVV's podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, no, I've been working out. I've been back in the ring, rolling around and shit. But this was his first live bumps in a while, so it might take him a minute to recover. I don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks. So
yeah, we'll see.
Dude, when you don't have those calluses, from what I hear,
bump hurts harder.
Rough. Yeah,
every bump hurts harder. But yeah,
this is no way it relates, but I haven't played baseball in years. Every time I catch a ball in a mitt, my hand hurts way more than it used to. And if that hurts, I can only imagine falling down on the freaking mat after 10 years. So,
God, we're getting old, man.
Yep, yes, we are. James threw almost dislocated his shoulder again yesterday, celebrating with a 1-year-old. Shout out to the
They're trying to take me out.
Yep. And on that note, I'm going to take us out of here. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. We would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. If you actually like the show and you like it here on YouTube, it lets us know that you are enjoying what you are seeing, and we can continue to do what we're doing. And if not, then we can try to change things up. But so far, I think we're doing okay, James. And if you subscribe, you continue to get all of our content here. at Mark It Down. We will be back again tomorrow, I believe, assuming Matt does his Raw review, which he has been pretty consistent with. So hopefully he's able to come back with that. We will obviously be back on Wednesday again for Dynamite. You got the Gym Pack Zone on Thursdays for you TNA fans. And we will continue to cover as many pay-per-views as we can from all of the companies, whether it's WWE, AEW, or TNA, or if it's really good and we have the time, even maybe Ring of Honor.
Maybe.
We would love to cover the New Japan ones, but they are just a weird time, so we can't do it at the moment. If you would like to follow us on some social media, and you know it, thank you. Producer Boy was not here tonight. Well, he's in the comments, but thank you. You know it. We appreciate it. Anyway, if you'd like to follow us on any of our social media platforms and you are here on YouTube, you can catch the links in the description below. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you're on either Facebook or Twitter, you can catch us on Twitter at markitdown_pod, over on Instagram at markitdownpod, and on YouTube, youtube.com/markitdown3665. As we have mentioned the last couple of weeks, we are nearing 1,000 subscribers, and we appreciate all of your support.
993. We're 7 away.
In which case, we are eventually going to be creating some new tiers. You will continue to get all the content that you do now, but we will be creating some new stuff that will be for, premium subscribers or whatever we call
membership
them.
People who subscribe to the membership tier.
Thank you, sir. That's why I have James here, because I don't know YouTube that well. But we'll be creating some new shows for you guys. So if you would like to check that out, we will let you guys know when those happen, so you don't and you guys can then join the membership tier and see some new content. I'm assuming James will eventually go through all of his shelves of stuff.
God help us all.
You've been promising that since like the start of the show. You do have to do it.
You got to pay for it, guys. I had to.
James, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. Just very grateful to spend this Sunday with everybody. Thank you so much.
Any news? Sorry, any news on giveaways? I know we're getting close to those.
I had planned on doing something very soon, but I had gotten hurt, so it kind of derailed me a little bit. The goal is once we hit 1,000, we're going to do the giveaway.
Okay, so see, this is why you guys need to subscribe, so that we can get to 1,000 here on YouTube, and then you guys can get some cool free stuff. And trust me, it's really cool. I want some of it. I'm not allowed to have it because we have to give it to you.
And we have to play it fair.
Yeah.
Ugh.
We're not corrupt here. I mean, I'd like to be, but I keep being shot down. Anyway,
balances, too many.
Yep. Anyway, for Matt Gascon, who joined us earlier, and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays, everybody. And we will see you here next time, probably tomorrow night on Mark It Down. Have a good one.